the arm around your chest. What's left inside? Lying, licking your blade. Do you really bleed if it washes away? Take a ride, rough as you can. Tell you a secret, right as your dogs are closing in. I like it when the bite marks cut through the skin. I like it when the bite marks cut through the skin. Tell me the walls are closing in into the fire and born again. Taste the pain and drink it in. I like the skin. I like it when the bite marks cut through the skin. Tell me the walls are closing in into the fire and born again. Taste the pain and drink it in. I like it when the bite marks cut through the skin.
Proving yourself in Noxus is no easy feat, and Mel will use every tool she can to do it, including her enemies' powers. In-game, Mel aims to catch out enemies, poke them down, and deal huge bursts of damage at exactly the right time. Mage players and Arcane fans, it's your time to shine. Welcome to the Mel Champion Spotlight.
Any worthwhile venture involves risk.
Before anything else, let's cover Mel's signature ability, her W, Rebuttal. Rebuttal gives her a small burst of move speed. It also grants a barrier that negates damage from anything except towers, and reflects enemy projectiles back at their casters. Auto attacks, waves, missiles, anything that would be blocked by Yasuo's Wind Wall gets reflected by Rebuttal. Reflected projectiles are converted into magic damage, but function as they normally would otherwise. Like this, and that, and this one, and that one. You get it. Now for Mel's passive, Searing Brilliance. Damaging an enemy with an attack or ability applies a stack of Overwhelm. You can stack Overwhelm infinitely, charging up potential damage. When this damage amount exceeds a target's current health and shields, Overwhelm detonates to execute them.
Nothing I couldn't handle.
Searing Brilliance also empowers Mel's next basic attack to fire 3 additional missiles after casting an ability. She can cast up to 3 abilities in a row to gain a max of 9 extra missiles on her next attack. Mel's Q is Radiant Volley. She unleashes a barrage of explosions in a target area. Each one deals a small amount of damage and stacks her passive. Her E is Solar Snare. Mel sends out an orb of unstable energy that files wildly as it travels. Enemies hit by the energy take damage over time and are slowed for the duration. Those who touch the orb itself are rooted. Lastly, Mel's ult is Golden Eclipse. Passively, it increases her damage from Overwhelm stacks. On cast, she unleashes her power on every target marked with Overwhelm, dealing tons of damage based on how many stacks they have. Golden Eclipse does not consume these stacks, so targets are still vulnerable to her passive if she brings them low enough for an execute.
Feel my light.
While this ability can hit monsters, it's only castable if an enemy champion is affected by Overwhelm, so plan your Baron steals accordingly. Mel's damage potential makes her a serious threat in extended fights, but if an opponent can burst her quickly or disengage to wait out the stacks from Searing Brilliance, they'll extinguish a lot of her power. And even though her passive is an execute, it respects magic resist, so bulk up if you don't want to get overwhelmed. The reflect on her W is pretty powerful, but only if an ability is worth reflecting. For example, champions with sticky engage tools like Amumu and Nautilus won't mind Rebuttal one bit. As a backline mage, Mel will really shine for players who like to poke from safety, so give her a try if you play Xerath, Lux, Hwei, or any other artillery champions. Let's skip the rest of the pleasantries, shall we? Get ready to rise with Mel, the soul's reflection.
The arcane is at my fingertips.
Hello and welcome to the first day of the LCK Cup playoffs. We got KT Rolster up against Nongshim Red Force for the first spot into the double elimination bracket. I am Valdez, with me is Wolf today, and it's been a while since we cast together actually. We did a season opener. That was in January, early on.
Yeah, it's been about a month. It feels like it's been a lot longer, but today's the kind of day, Valdez, that makes you nervous. I feel really nervous. Like, my heart's racing a little bit because it's the kind of day where you really don't know what's going to happen. A lot of matches you come into having your expectation, or you think you've got this cool idea. You're like, I know, I'm the one who sees more than anyone else. Or you feel like, okay, things will go according to plan, and we know we have a clear favorite. If there's an upset, that's a cool storyline. Today, to me, I feel like I'm 51% sure, like, about my prediction. About 51% sure. I won't tell you guys what it is just yet, but anything could happen today. I think we have a clear favorite tomorrow, but today, KT Rolster up against revitalized Nongshim here, coming in as the 6th seed. I just don't know what to say. Like, there is no clear favorite. Anything could happen.
Yeah, if T1 or Hamalife Esports got into the match against KT, I think maybe it could have been a bit different. It would have been a little bit more obvious. But these two teams seem so evenly matched with KT's issues in their top lane and their bottom lane, with BDD and Cuz having to do a lot of the carrying, and Nongshim's resurgence and showing that Lahens can really flex as we know him to, and Kingen can play very well at times, and the rest of the team really coming around those two veterans. Nongshim are looking like a strong team right now. So it's 3rd, it's 6th seed, you know, whatever the numbers say, I think that anybody could win today, and that's really the biggest thing.
And we have some big changes coming in today because we're moving into 25.S1.3, Valdez. Chemtech Soul got buffed by 2%.
Oh boy!
11 to 13.
Huge.
It's still a significant change, but I don't know if it's really going to make teams prioritize it more heavily. Bigger nerf, I think, on the other hand, is the Cloud Soul nerf, as well as some of the Otacon nerfs. So your extra gold per takedown is going to be nerfed by 15, and also the withdraw stasis is almost triple the time it was once before. So if you look at it like this, I mean, when you die in a team fight, you can't just teleport back in. The fight will probably be lost without you. You can see the changes to Void Grubs as well as Champion Bounties as well. So, you know, 8 for 4, etc. For the Grubs, you guys have seen the changes, been out on live for a long time before this. Let's move into champion nerfs, though, where Jace, they've made him more AD. They said, like, tank Jace is a problem, so we'll just buff his AD stats, so you're less wanting to build him tank. You still can, though.
Yeah, it's like they added scaling on the AD, so when you build AD items, it makes more sense. You gain more from it, whereas the base numbers went down a bit. So that's definitely the biggest change that Galio also will see. We have some more nerfs with Skarner, Viego, and Wukong being taken down a peg. I think the Skarner nerfs, he's still going to be permaban on red side, in my opinion.
In pro, I think so. Like, it's 0.5 seconds the stun when you get hit, as well with the stun. So, like, someone will just follow up anyways in pro in most cases. Viego's damage stats being nerfed, I think, matters a lot for Fearless, because he was one of the picks that a lot of players, including Cuz, who we'll see this evening as well, relied on when you get deeper into the draft. Wukong as well. Very almost omnipresent, safe pick that was good for Peel, but also for a lot of these dive compositions, getting a little bit of a nerf as well on his W and his E. Jax got a little bit of buff on his mana regen because he was running out of mana, so it'll be more of a threat in the sides. Thresh getting some more health and getting some more damage on Flay, pretty relevant when we have picks like Jinx propping back up here in Fearless.
Yeah.
And then Rakan getting some nerfs, or rather some buffs on his W, cooldown decreased at early rank, so kind of relevant here. The Swain, he gets tankier. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, he was already being played by some of our more esoteric champ playing players, but yeah, I don't know. This is the biggest thing. You know, we talk about nerfs and buffs, but this is a champion that is broken out of her mind. She had a hotfix after immediately coming out, and she's still broken. So everybody knows that Mel does the rebuttal, right? She does the reflect, and that's going to be a big part of her kit, but just in general, the champ is pretty busted.
She works with a lot of items incredibly well. She has an execute built into her kit with her passive, as well as some additional damage she can do with her auto attacks. When you reach that overwhelm damage threshold, target gets executed. So while she does do a lot of safe damage and can also be somewhat of a reliable peel and engage tool with her E, she just straight up is like a smolder basically from a million miles away when it comes to late game team fights. And it's difficult to punish her because she has that rebuttal. A lot of champions will struggle to lock her down. Here's some of the thoughts that pros had about her. This is my first time looking at this, so we'll see what we get. Chovy says her skills are long range.
Thanks, Chovy. I didn't know. Wei says, such a cheeky champion,
Such
mate.
a cheeky champion.
They forgot the maid, yeah. Ruler says, her laning isn't too bad. Pretty simple. Carry the longest alongside a king, and he said she has clear weaknesses when used as a support, which doesn't make her a jack of all trades, but she comes in handy in certain circumstances, so maybe a little bit less flexible than you would expect, but I don't know. Somebody like Carrier probably would be the guy to make it work.
Yeah, Zeka says the first look at the reflect skill on stage will amuse players and fans. That may be true. I do think that most of the amusement we'll get from this champion today will be on one of those 3 red side bans.
Yeah. We'll talk about it a lot, and it'll be banned every game probably, but we'll see. KT on an 11-match winning streak against Nongshim versus qualified for the first time to playoffs in 4 years, Nongshim. It's been quite a long time for Nongshim since they have been in a playoffs in any kind of LCK match. It's an unavoidable battle. Yes, that is the way the seeds lined up. We'll see who can win tonight.
Yeah. Last time we saw Nongshim was back with that Peanut roster in 2021. Duckdom on that team now faces them as an enemy, as Gideon is a jungler who takes Void Grubs very consistently, which helps with the side lane macro. You could see Nongshim actually first in Grubs per game, so definitely prioritizing the top side of the map, letting a little bit more of those dragons go, and also heavily indexing into Grub fights as well. Gideon has been really good at that, prioritizing a lot. That's a really good stat that we do have for him. It's time, though.
It's time for the Preds. You can see some of those coming out behind us, but already it is dramatic. On the Korean side, it's going both ways. A lot of 3-2s. Everybody is very much on the fence here, as even Jisun going for the 3-2. You and I went for the 3-2 for Nongshim. Ox, who's here today, also went for the 3-2. Wadid, the 1-3-0.
Yeah, the one outlier.
He is also here today.
Yeah, KT's going to get it done. If you had asked me this before I saw Nongshim's final matches, there's the Gon himself.
Pacing. He's like nervous about this match too.
3-1, he
I
says.
understand.
But if you had asked me a week ago, if you told me this was going to be the matchup here, I would have heavily leaned towards BDD and Cuz getting it done, right? 100%. Fisher had been the weaker mid laner for a really long time, had a pretty rough 2024, but I feel like Nongshim really turned it around, and Lehens in particular really helped facilitate that growth, but Fisher as well, really strong in the mid lane at this moment in time, and I feel like has been kind of, to me, the most improved player we've seen since regular season 2024, so I think Nongshim can get it done, but like I said, 51% to 49 in my brain right now, not a confident prediction at all, because I think anything could happen tonight on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, we say this all the time, and it sounds cliche, but it really comes down to who's got the better form today, right? I think between these two teams that are so evenly matched, it's hard to choose one. You know, can some of the weaknesses on the side of KT step it up to help out Cuz and BDD? Or are Nongshim, who everybody's kind of pulling their weight at this point, as you kind of referred to there, Wolf, can they get the job done? You see the flags coming out. The classic Nongshim brand flags there.
It's a tale of what you really value, I think, in terms of how you predict this series, because Nongshim have looked a little bit more well-rounded. This team is all about BDD, the man in the mid lane, the man in the middle of this huddle as well. He and Cuz have been the real main carries, whereas over here we've seen a big growth for Lehens, right? Gio has really been one of the weak links, which is not what you would have expected coming into a season like this, but with Fisher improving a lot, Gideon being a real force to be reckoned with, I feel like on Nongshim's side you get the full package. On the side of the jungle here, this is definitely the key player matchup here. You can see Cuz second in KP at 14, so still has had some really strong early games, especially when paired with BDD.
Yeah, I mean, that has been the dynamic duo for sure. You can't really say the same about Fisher and Gideon, but you can say that Gideon and Fisher individually have had their glow-ups, and I think that Gideon as well. You know, you mentioned Fisher before, but Gideon has had a lot of great moments. He's been a lot more consistent, which I like to see. I think his time on Bro was a little bit all over the place, not necessarily because of him, but he's had a lot of jumping around different rosters, and he's found his place here on Nongshim, and he looks just better than I can remember from other teams, so things are looking up for him.
I feel like a story of resilience for him for sure, with what he's seen in his career, the hardships he's been through, the tough times he's had, the amount of times he's been sitting on the bench. On KT's side, Perfect kind of fell off a little bit. We had higher expectations for him at the beginning of this season. And then, controversially, right, KT decided to go with Duckdom over Wei, who's on loan to Bro. Not anymore, obviously, until... Sorry?
Hype, you mean?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Did I say Wei?
You said Wei.
Yeah.
There.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wei is
sense.
with him. Hype is on Bro. That's right. And Wei, of course, who's underperforming right now, a duo that we really looked forward to potentially seeing in the LCK, have been split, right? So Wei not performing as well with Duckdom as we would like, and then Lehen's coming into this tournament with some really cool pocket picks. The Elise, he obviously has a huge mastery on, but then the Shen he's pulling out the Blitzcrank. Sometimes we don't always like it, but he still gets it done. And that's what I think Nongshim has in spades, just a composition of players, more than like their drafting, that knows how to play together. When they listen to their young Lehens, they seem to get it done. Whereas for KT, it's been a lot more clutch plays from a BDD who usually is ahead, and we often have him being the only person who has a gold lead, similar to how DRX operates with UCal, just maybe on a higher level here. So we need to see Wei play better tonight. We need to see Perfect lane better against veteran World's MVP King here if KT are going to take the win.
Yeah, a lot of things do have to go right on their side for it to happen, but, you know, just highlighting some of the ways KT, you know, if their mid-jungle come together, they could absolutely take advantage of Fisher and Gideon. I think that is one way to get it done. One thing that really impressed me from Nongshim, and part of the reason why I also slightly went for them, for me it's not like 51-49, I think I was like 55-45, still very close. But I do feel like Lehens and Gideon have really come together as a support jungle duo, which is extremely important in pretty much every meta for the last 3-4 years, but also even back in the day. And that's just something we haven't seen too much, I think, from Cuz and Wei. Cuz has been doing it a lot by himself, but Wei hasn't necessarily been in the right place at the right time and has shown a lot of nerves. And this is potentially another big nerves match as we get into the first game.
I don't think the priority on Skarner will change. We do see Mel is the first ban here for Nongshim Red Force, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
That one's the one you're going to guarantee ban. We'll probably see Skarner second. Callista probably needs a look as well. On the side of KT Rolster here, they'll ban the Vi. On blue side,
yeah,
it could have been a first pickable champion, though, for them.
For sure. Talia is banned.
We're trading.
That is not Skarner, and it is not Callista. So like you said, we are looking to potentially get one of those on the side of Nongshim. But definitely a dangerous gambit if you do go for something like this.
Yeah, really interesting to see. I mean, BDD is a fantastic Talia player. Skarner gets banned on blue side, so Vi and Skarner both banned. What's the play here? Because he could have had the Skarner here in this situation, but now they've taken the Callista away. I'm guessing it's going to be a Jace first pick here. I mean, Jace is buffed. Tank Jace is nerfed, quote unquote. That's what they say, but looking for the Mbessa here instead. Kind of an unusual priority here, but a strong pick nonetheless, and it is Fearless, so you get it here, you deny it from Kingen for the rest of the series.
Yeah, it just feels a bit rough because I was thinking also Elise, you know, Open, we've seen teams try to take that away from Lehens. I don't really trust Wei on it right now, so maybe that's part of why they're not going to go for it, but so much available and so much counter-pickable in the top, so many picks you can counter-pick with left up here in the top lane, and Jace seems like the obvious one, so the Mbessa first pick doesn't really, you know, have a lot of impact, I'd feel.
Yeah, the Jace is flexible here as well. Now, you could lock the Elise right here for Lehens if you wanted to, but then it does give KT Rolster the opportunity to try to respond before we get to the second banning phase. So I like holding the pick and looking for something else. For Gideon, yeah, and the Sejuani does fit the bill quite a bit. It's been his best pick, in my opinion, throughout the end of the group battle. His Heartsteel damage, his tankiness, his oppressiveness, and his grub control have been a lot focused around this champion.
What is Cuz playing here?
I'm a little bit concerned with how KT don't seem like this was an intentional, like, don't worry, we have the trick up our sleeves, just wait and see. We'll see the Varus to come out here as the AD carry pick, which will, I would say, discourage the Elise significantly, and BDD is a 0. I was wondering how many games deep we'd get before that one comes through, but with more picks being kind of banned by Fearless, I think you want to play it in game 1, because otherwise it gives them an opportunity to ban it away from you in those first few for the rest of the series. So I think a wise choice here. Great with the Varus as well.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad choice, and especially in game 1, you know, talking about Fearless again, you can ban a couple of jungle champs from red side as Nongshim, but you're still going to have options, you know.
Yeah.
The Viego nerfs, we'll see if Cuz plays Viego tonight. He's definitely played it in the past into Sejuani. Aurora is the choice here for probably Fisher, but we'll see.
I like the Poppy ban. Wukong, also nerfed on this patch, I think would be a pretty good option for Cuz in this draft, but maybe it's just going to end up being the Xin Zhao as the look. We'll see if that's banned away from him as well in that final spot. Here for KT Rolster, the AD carry pool and support pool completely open. You could just ban the Elise for safety at this point if you're worried about it, but with the lane setup you already have, with even in a lane swap, Ambessa being able to grab the farm, you don't necessarily have to, but they will just take it away. I think it's a safe choice, and you can leave the flexibility open for the rest of the series with this as well.
Thinking about that last jungle ban you're going to have before Cuz gets his hands onto something. Xin Zhao.
I think that's the one that makes the most sense to me in this situation. Just considering how much it also appeals for you in these fights.
It's great for your Varus, you know. We've seen definitely a lot of bursts coming out from Aurora and even Jace when he's building tank, but we'll see how the changes affect him.
Interesting to see the Renata ban here. Strong with Varus, but makes me wonder if Gio is just kind of leaning towards something like an Ezreal pick here in this draft, or maybe even something crazier like a Smolder, just wanting to make sure they don't get completely crushed even in the mid lane when the AD carries do meet up there later on. As final pick here towards Lehens will be the Shen ban. Take that away. I don't know if this is really a draft he was planning on playing Shen with, to be honest. I don't think it really makes sense here compared to the other drafts we've seen him play it in, but they're scared of him, I think, a little bit, to be honest, Valdez.
You can always play Blitzcrank as well. I mean, banning out those two doesn't really ban out Lehens, let's be real.
So I think it's going to be an AD carry pick here with obviously the support to counter, although
generally I'd say yes, for sure. You want to see the bot lane before you pick the support.
This is definitely, I feel like they're cooking here a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be an Ezreal pick because that's the normal one I feel like that fits the bill here, or if it's going to be something a little bit more unusual here. Is
maybe they just wanted to take the Nautilus away. You know, deny Varus Nautilus, and then you're going to pick Kai'Sa anyway. It's not like you're getting denied that.
It's really, I think, quite strong with this draft, the Kai'Sa pick, but it is going to struggle in the early levels, especially into Braum. And even if you lane swap, it's going to be hard to find advantages, and it can be tough to avoid getting scouted out here. Are they cooking Valdez? Like, this is, I mean, maybe not. I guess they're just not, man. I was really hyped for something unique here for Jiwoo because he's known to pull out an unusual pick, the Neela, the Smolder, you know, Corki bot, something like that. I thought maybe he was trying to do something tricky here, but I think ultimately you don't want to play something like that into the Varus Braum, especially with the explosive dive power that this Maokai is going to have. Early, not amazing, but once he gets level 6, you just siege the turrets, and it's a freebie to zone out one of those scaling AD carries. So something like the Kai'Sa does make sense, does follow up really well to what Nongshim have put together. The poke can lead into enough chip damage to where then the Kai'Sa goes in and finishes off a target. We don't know what build Kingen will go for here. I would imagine it'll probably still be the tank, but with the buffs that came through, you definitely feel like your gold is more valuable if you use it for damage. And they already do have that Sejuani frontline, so he does have options in this draft.
Yeah, he definitely does. I mean, there is a lot of damage within the draft as well. You know, with the Aurora and the Kai'Sa especially, you've got a lot of long-range burst damage. If he does build some sort of AD, as all the fans have come out here tonight.
I'm looking at this, and the one out of these 10 that stands out to me is BDD on Azir. And I look at that and I think it's tried, it's true, it's robust, it's a classic Valdez. And by that alone, I'll give a slight edge to KT in this draft.
Fair enough. I think that he deserves it for sure. But guys, we are ready. Let's hop into the rip for game number 1. Game number 1. Yes, Mel is available, and she's already banned. We're here on the next patch, which...
the new naming nomenclature is hard to say sometimes.
It's just Season 1, number 3.
Yes. 25.
2025.
To be specific, yeah.
Yeah, 2025 point S1.3. And I don't think we're going to see Mel today, so don't worry.
I hope
Mel's
we
gonna
do,
be banned.
but yeah, probably not.
It was very interesting that KT denied the trade. You know, they were like, no, we don't want Skarner for Kalista. We'd rather not have Ju playing Kalista. Or, you know, giving Skarner, right? Because Nongshim offered it, right? They didn't ban Skarner. They banned Talia. But that just gave them an extra ban from red side. I think the majority of the time we're going to be seeing Mel, Skarner, Kalista
I think
from red side.
Pretty much every game. And now that some of these other champions have been removed, I feel like the stocks maybe even go a little bit higher. Kingen will be seen on this ward. Just a little bit of siphoning of the mid lane for these top laners. Looked like, but actually, he will be heading straight towards the bottom. And then as soon as I say that, he's doing whatever I say, the opposite of it.
Well, they're chasing down Fisher. They're actually denying him some XP. I think Kingen might have gotten some solo. The camera wasn't quite panned to the wave, but kind of an awkward spot there. Here comes Lehens. He is on vision. The flash hook into the wall.
Iconic.
Iconic. I'll call it. Yeah. Might have worked if he was playing Blitzcrank. Maybe he thought he was.
It happens. It happens to everybody. It happens to Lehens. It could happen to you. It could happen to me. It has happened to me. But bit of a wonky early game here. This is what I was looking forward to today. It's a little bit of craziness. We're starting it off right in the first 2 minutes.
Just a little bit of foreshadowing for what the rest of the series is going to look like.
He is heading now down flashless to the bottom lane, where Perfect has shown up already to try to help Kingen, who is behind on XP, like you mentioned, but does hit 2 off of that final minion. So the window here is pretty small. They wanted to try to punish him. And that's just going to be a TP straight to the top side for Perfect. And Kingen won't lose too much here unless he messes this up. He's got Lehens to back him up. But we'll miss another hook, unfortunately.
0 for 2. Not the best start, but that's okay. And yeah, he's just going to be there just to give a little bit of help over to Kingen. Perfect, TP's top. Ju versus Perfect. We have seen this happen many times during lane swaps where it ends up just being AD carry versus top laner. And that's going to be the case here for the top lane of this game. In
the case of Kingen, he's up into a Varus and Braum, so very tough lane to actually get into EXP range, though. So he needs the support, which is why Gio is the one who ends up being solo in the top lane against Nambessa, who isn't going to be threatening him necessarily. He's not going to get huge advantages there, but that is how the swap is going to go. Yeah, rip.
Might not have even gotten the XP. He was way back there.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it. You can see, because in our UI we now have it, the purple bar below Perfect's champion portrait in Kingen's, that he has about half a level of experience lead. He was down on gold a little bit until we did finally see some pressure being put onto Kingen there, despite Lehens trying to equalize. In terms of the jungle, top side control to Gideon, bottom side control to Cuz. That's kind of been the lopsided nature of this early game so far. And I'm curious to see if Kingen does just build tank again in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Tank Jace is it's just so versatile and you're still doing so much damage. And it also, you know, we call it Tank Jace, but you're not only building tank items, right? You have items that give you AD. So you can still, in a way, use the buffs and still be Tank Jace, you know? So I don't think it's going to change too much. Maybe we do see at some point during these playoffs, like someone going just full AD with like a poke comp.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this game.
I think in this game, it works well to be Tank Jace to just dive with Ju and put some of that extra damage on and be really sticky when the Kai'Sa comes through with the Aurora as well. So I don't think he'll be building like a lethality in AD that much in this game compared to normally. Obviously, I'll have a little bit more with some of those items like you mentioned already, but
Lehens is level 2.
yeah, he's spent a lot of time walking between lanes.
Yeah.
He's almost level 3, to be fair. Sometimes the 2 number looks a little bit like, wow, he's really about a level behind.
Yeah.
But still, it does tell the story of how much time he's been spending trying to put out fires in this game.
He didn't even get it on the top wave. He's still level 2. It's 5.5 minutes into the game. Now he's going to back. He's not even staying for the XP here. Well, I say that. He stopped his back, so maybe he is. Perfect is going to back as they re-swap the lanes. It looks like Perfect is going to match Kingen in the bottom side. And
now,
we'll have bot duos in the top lane.
What's really critical about this for Nongshim is Gideon loves his grubs, right? They're spawning soon, 10 seconds, and Kingen has teleport. Perfect used his teleport to go to the top lane to set up the lane scenario they wanted. And that means Kingen can actually put some pressure on this plate, grabs a plate bottom side, and then if they want to index fully into grubs, he can be there at a moment's notice. Perfect cannot, unless they delay this. So this is going back into Gideon and Nongshim's MO so far towards the end of the group battle, how much they love those grubs, and see if he does TP in.
Might not even have to.
Yeah, looking less and less likely.
Because his bot might just pick up the first Drake of the game, which is an Ocean. Going to feel pretty nice about that one. And you can always fight for the next set of grubs, but obviously with our objective feats of strength, you don't necessarily want to always give over 3 grubs at the same time. But they will this time. Nongshim will get 1 dot on the top of our UI.
I do think that, given the... Hold up.
Nice little hook there. Even an Ignite to come out. Just a bit of pressure being put on, especially with Gio level 6 first. And all the time he spent in the solo lane means that they can go for a play like that.
Absolutely. And Gideon's even going to try to use that pressure to take more of the jungle. And Cuz did not, in fact, take that dragon bottom side. So, they didn't end up getting that cross map. And I feel like Gideon's reading really well. Like, is he taking a late dragon? I don't know what he's doing, but he should be bottom side. I can get some additional value here in the jungle. And that play from Lehen's really putting some additional pressure here onto KT's top side.
Yeah, Gideon is getting a second smite up here in a minute. Even BDD has to flash away now. And he can easily try to go for the release here and just burst this one down with the smite. Ooh, Cuz going to steal that one away. Nicely done. Kind of making the most of a rough situation. And yeah, just Nongshim really trying to put on the pressure as much as they possibly can.
Absolutely. That was really well played by them.
Okay, well, Fisher just going to say no to that. Thank you very much.
Little W buffer. Get out of there.
Yep.
I assume that's what that was that got him out of there. Actually,
Yeah. Denied.
Yeah. Well played. Nicely timed. No flash needed. So BDD down, flash down, ult. He is against the Sejuani here. Fisher does have teleport coming back online. He'll have a nice little back timing here. So maybe under a little bit of threat, depending on when he decides to TP back himself. The timing here will be thin if he is going to get punished, so he'll probably be fine. But interesting early game here. No deaths, but some smart moves on both sides. I really liked how KT set up the lanes, but Nongshim set up their top side really well. And 3 grubs taken away from an Azir is really quite valuable for what he can get done if he's left alone in the side with his Nashor's Tooth.
Yeah, I definitely say that I think that if you look at the top, KT slightly ahead on gold. That mostly comes from the difference in, the top lane and the AD carries, just based on the way the lane swap worked. But Nongshim are getting a lot of macro value and a lot of objectives already, as Fisher thinking about it. But they have a lot of pressure in mid and even in bot, as Bessa is nowhere to be seen. And so they're going to try to make their move at this Ocean Drake. But TP is coming in, and so Gideon might just back away and concede it. I say that he is moving back in, as here comes the Maokai ultimate to deny him. No smite available, or even possible, I should say, for Gideon. And so KT get in, get out, take the Ocean Drake down while Jiu's just farming top.
He gets a plate here, which is going to shore up some of the gold deficit he had. Good little delay there from Nongshim. I think pretty opportunistic the way that they set up on that dragon. Not to say that they were opportunistic to think they could take it, but I think the way they set up constantly kept KT really focused on the dragon, because there was an opportunity for a steal. They were going to get the Maokai ultimate out no matter what in that scenario, and so allowed Jiu to get some of that gold there top side. Going into Hextech, next. So we'll see what the Soul ends up being. There's still some high value potentially here.
Yeah, Cloud a little bit less so. I'm glad that Atlas is not here. He would be very sad. He can be very sad about it tomorrow when he is casting. But yeah, Cloud Soul just not quite as good. I think it's still strong, but it does also in turn raise the value of other Drakes as well, just because the relativity of it.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud Drake was kind of just buffed by some of the tier 3 boots that we got with feats of strength as well, with their percentage base movement speed and stuff like that. So I think it just kind of needed a look in general. I think it was a good change. As we will see potentially another plate to go over here. Looks like not quite, as Tukdom does show up.
It might go down. I feel like they should let that, like in cases like that, they should let it fall. Yeah. They actually did, not sure if on purpose or not, because Nongshim didn't get the gold for it. Nobody was in range, nobody hit the turret.
Yeah.
So just denying a plate in a sense.
All right, Gideon's here. They do have teleport for Fisher. If you wanted to try to look for a flank, he is in prio right now as well. Remember, BDD still doesn't have flash.
It's just a straight-up fight for the grubs. I feel like Gideon could have stuck around a little bit longer, but...
yeah, he just didn't have enough vision of where BDD was, I guess, and so he was like, I'm just not going to mess with this, because I think, I mean, knowing what we know, 100% he just smites one and then leaves, and at least gets one, but it looks like it's going to be a 3-for-3 trade.
Looks like he messed up his smite as well, so didn't quite have that. Here comes Lehens just flashing the wall, just going to cast his R button onto Perfect, says, you're going down, buddy, and he will. Lehens sets up the play and gives first blood over to Kingen, plus a little bonus plate on the side, and Nongshim will take the lead here in gold.
It's just a really nice quick play there, coming in and looking for the snipe on the Ambessa. Perfect doesn't flash, gets taken out there, doesn't ult either. It's just a situation without any support he can't really get out of. BDD is going to be able to trade some damage back on this turret though, should be able to get a plate as Azir with 3 ranged minions left. Will collect 125 gold himself. Well, that's first blood going over to Nongshim pretty late in the game, just sub 12 minutes. It'll be the first of their kill set for the feats of strength. So still early game, you know, still anything could happen in this one. A very, I would say, calm early game for these two teams, especially how they've been playing this season, but it's more macro-minded.
Yeah, it feels like both teams kind of just looking at each other, eyeing each other up, but nobody really making big moves, except one person, which is Lehens.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to do things, I'm going to be the playmaker, and he's doing that. And everybody else is just like, okay, we're taking it slow, we're farming. Even the rest of the players on his team, it feels like, they're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll dive if you insist, Mr. Lehens.
You could see that with that gold, Kingen has a significant advantage over his counterpart in Perfect. That kill going over, and he has a 10 CS lead here, but that's really the only significant one we have. Lehens coming down here, has his flash over the wall to set this up, and as I was saying, let's go for it. Gets the ult first, follow-up hook, clean. See what he says. Nothing. Sometimes when we have comms like this, or, you know, when comms are open, I'm like, he might say something really funny, but in this case, just keeping it serious for now.
He usually just says, Young Yao, it's just like, it's me, it's your older brother, like, sit down, basically.
It's your bro. That's right,
yeah.
It's Lehens.
It's your bro Lehens, back again. Another great gank.
They knew, of course, that Cuz was still topside finishing off the grubs, so with the vision they had, that there was no one really to cut them off and stop that play. Braum, I think, had shown in mid as well just moments before, too, so really nice calculated play. Lehens being the second jungler, as he often is. And that's the gold lead right there for Nongshim, essentially. Yeah.
You know, still some, I mean, there were farm leads that KT had, but they have kind of dwindled at this point, especially in the top lane, where Kingen has taken the lead, especially because Perfect was dead. He was the one who did get first blooded. BDD really trying his best to try to do something against Fisher, but Fisher, he's one of those players that's like, no, like, we're not fighting. We're just sitting back, we're farming in this game. BDD's like half of Lehens at this point, Cuz not able to take down the big Raptor, very difficult objective, and he's just not in time for the Drake, so I guess just give them a free Drake instead, because you messed up the leash on the Raptors.
And BDD had teleport advantage on the top side as well, kind of squandered. I feel like there was definitely a team fight there for KT Rolster at this point with the Varus at the spike he's at as well.
But Wolf, he needed the big raptor.
I guess
Let's
so.
be real. I've seen this one before, but this time Perfect is behind the turret, and you know what? It's going to actually work out, especially because Cuz is here, and he is looking to turn this one around. Flash available, flash on in, gets on to Jiu, the flash chains, and Jiu is just dead, just like that, so quickly, and even Lehens as well will bite the dust as he goes down. Gideon gets out. A big committal here from KT, but it pays off. They pick up 2 kills.
Yeah, this time the jungler is there. This time he is going to make you pay for it. However, Nongshim racing, they will lose the race.
I mean, makes sense. KT, 3 people down in the bottom lane, actually 4. And yeah, they're able to just knock it down with the demolish. King not quite able to match that speed.
Yeah, so now on the edge of feats of strength here, KT Rolster, one more kill or one more full objective will give it to them. If they had taken that dragon, they would have it already. Going back to this, look at where Cuz is. He's heading down. You know, Perfect, all he has to do here essentially is to buy time. And that he does, flash at the last possible second. Lehens eats the aggro. Now, Jiu stands here to cleanse block Gideon so he doesn't also get locked down. And that may be the reason why he dies here. But ultimately, I think it was a pretty good chance he was going to go down either way. But he did try to, you know, save his jungler. Still, 2 kills go over to KT Rolster and that first turret.
Yeah, as Lehens hits the wall once again. He had Fisher with him, so, you know, if he gets a combo down, didn't quite have his ult, though, so maybe not enough, but perhaps Jiu could come over. Maybe they are able to punish BDD, but BDD also had flash. So either way, Lehens still trying to make plays regardless of the situation.
That's all the gold lead now neutralized, you know, completely set back to 0 essentially in this game. As, yes, Kingen still has an advantage, but now BDD is online. Put BDD on that Shuriman Azir. He's going to have a fun time, generally speaking. Fisher just won't be hit by anything.
Yeah, he really has been just playing this game quite passively, quite laid back. Now, we are fighting for the objectives. Feat of strength here.
Yes, this is big.
And over the wall they go. Dukdom, he is going to get burst down. The knockup comes in. He takes a long time to fall, actually, but big block on the Maokai ultimate as well. And the fact that Dukdom, you know, no flash available, he couldn't even react to that. It was so quick as well that I'm not even sure he would have, even if he did have the flash. So another great play from Lehens.
And no cleanse on the Varus makes you vulnerable to plays like this as well. You know, there's so many things that you when you think about, like, oh, I want cleanse in this comp, but you're like, but there's a Nautilus on the other side. If they hit anything, the chain is going to be there, but it doesn't have it in this draft. So if he gets caught by a Gideon ult, you know, in any situation besides this one, you know, Lehens can follow up, right? The burst damage is going to be there to follow up, so he's got to be so careful with his positioning. Cuz can get you out of a lot of situations with his ultimate, but not this one. As you see here, Dukdom stepping forward into that controller, gets caught by Lehens first, followed up by Gideon's ult. I think he dies regardless if he has cleanse in this situation, but you got to be respectful, and I just wanted to point that out. He doesn't have it, so if Gideon catches him later, and Nongshim are ready to set traps like this with control wards, he's going to have to be ready with his finger over that flash key.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, you know, at the beginning of LCK Cup as well, we saw a lot of supports rushing Mikhail's as first item, but now you'll see just double locket for both of our supports. So might be a while before he's getting out of any Sejuani shenanigans, that's for sure. As now with Rift Heralds and the objective feats of strength looking to take down the mid turret, I think it's not going to, that charge, perhaps?
I think not quite. It needs like 3 autos from someone big. And the Herald is going to die before he can do any of his own autos. So it's basically a sneeze away from death, but man, Kingen has gotten some insane side lane pressure done this entire time, though. Nongshim have really controlled the tempo, even with such a small gold lead, really well. Is Lehens again?
Going in once again, ult in onto Dukdom as well, as Fisher trying to extend for him, and they're just going to kill Wei on the backside of that. Fisher wanted a second kill, and at first I was like, man, just kill the Braum, you know, take what you can get. As Lehens, again, this is really, like, I feel like we're just, Lehens, he's doing everything. We're living in his world.
Oh, yeah, we really are. And it's kind of been like that since Nongshim became a scary, relevant playoffs team. And we started off this game with a flash hook into the wall. That's just the type of player that he is. He takes every opportunity he has, and sometimes he'll make a mistake. Sometimes he'll get caught in the jungle. Sometimes he'll die on Elise. sometimes like 6 to 9 times, in fact, on that champion and still win the game.
Approximately, yeah.
But, you know, it's plays like this where you have to be respectful or he will catch you. He will find you. He will see the angle. He's so well-versed on this champion.
Yeah.
And they banned the Shen, which I don't think really makes sense in this composition. Instead of something like a Nautilus, the Nautilus goes to Nongshim, and I don't know, it's really problematic in this one for KT so far.
Weird thing about it, too, is that Wei was just staring at him.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't kill me. You don't have the damage. Just not expecting Fisher to show up. Now, Chemtech Soul is buffed on this patch. And
11 to 13, baby.
11% to 13%. You see, like, Nongshim are like, I know about the buff. I saw the patch notes. Gideon, he wants to steal. He's going to get it. And there you go. He picks up the first Chemtech Drake as the fans go wild.
And
Chemtech Drake.
Lehens was on cam right when the steal went over. You see a huge grin go across his face. The whole time, Fisher was continuing that topside side lane pressure, trying to finish what King had started there, denying a lot of farm, hurting that turret, putting it down to half health. He had teleport and could have joined if things got hairy, if KT tried to force an engage. But really, on the side of KT, they have Maokai to set things up, but they have Braum and otherwise BDD. And if the Ambessa can get backline access, who are you accessing? The tank Jace? Or the Kai'Sa that has flash and can shield with her ultimate and has a bunch of peel in this draft? It's really hard to start fights when Nongshim just walk up to the objective and say, well, I mean, I'm on it. You coming at me or what? And it allows, you know, King and or Fisher to sit in the side lane deep because like they can't actually win a fight fast enough before I can teleport in. You can see on the minimap where he is right now.
106.
106 on the steal.
Okay. What about?
That's the smile I was talking about. And you know, the whole time Fisher puts that pressure on the top side, and he can join if KT try to make something happen if BDD does commit, but they don't. And it's just these small advantages Nongshim have that are starting to stack up.
Yeah. It's Nongshim, I think, just have better leadership, and it's showing right now in this game, not only in terms of calling out plays and shot calling, but also in making the plays himself. And talked about this before, Gideon Lehens. This duo has been very strong. They've been getting better and better together, hyping each other up after the steal. And it really kind of just feels like KT are sitting around and letting it happen, you know? BDD hasn't been able to make a big impact on this one so far, although he has tried. He's farming well. He's got a kill. We know what BDD can do in later game team fights, and the game is not over by any means, but we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I think we need to start seeing some plays for KT, otherwise this game will continue to just drift away from them.
Saw in that moment Cuz get air quotes caught and take no damage with abilities going his hard steal into MR stacking. So he's not worried about the Aurora too much. He is very tanky, a big threat to deal with in this game as grouping for Otacon right now. Remember, teleport was just used for Fisher into the mid lane, but Kingen has his, and Fisher's very close, does control that mid prio right now. I don't know if... oh boy.
They're just letting Lehens do whatever he wants in their jungle now. Trying to force a flash, I think, is Lehens, but BDD, now he's going in. He's going to scoop up too, but he's alone. The Mega Cone comes in, and finally the rest of the team does follow up, and Nongshim will pick up the first kill. Fisher immediately going to melt here to the Ambessa, though. And guess who is not here? It's Jiwoo. Finally comes in, finally presses his buttons, and may be able to turn this one around, but the front line is going down. Jiwoo still unchecked. It's Jiwoo against Perfect, and it will be the Kai'Sa who wins the fight in the end. Cuz all alone. And Jiwoo, he took his sweet time, but when he showed up, man, he made the difference.
And BDD Lens is an ex-KT player. You played with him. You know what he's like. It's in moments like this where I see this and I see the Sejuani coming and BDD gets hooked into decides, okay, what should I do here? Could flash the wall or could flip the game. And it's like BDD is my man. I said like if BDD is here, that's why I give him the edge. But in scrappy fights like this into the Kai'Sa, into the Aurora that's already there, and the ability for Jiwoo to follow up so quickly, how tanky the Nautilus is, opting into a fight like this when you have no control is just really not going to be it for me. They did play it really well, but ultimately Jiwoo will get so fed out of this exchange, and it's just Lehens on a flank, finds a pocket of vision, and you look at the gold lead now, it's 4,000 here for Nongshim. 1,800 of it on that Kai'Sa that was put down a little bit early in lane, but is now a menace and has that Nashor's Tooth for some additional poke here. They get the Otacon off of the play as well. And it was one of those calls where if you just flash out as the Azir, you may just give up that buff. You might not be able to come over there and fight, but...
I mean, they were walking away, too. I feel like he could have just walked the opposite direction. I don't even think he had to flash.
Yeah, maybe.
But maybe it was his posturing, you know, his aggressive play that was leading them to back away. It just wasn't a prepared fight. It's like you woke up in the morning, you got a phone call you weren't expecting. They're like, oh, we got to do something now today that I wasn't expecting to do. And KT just were not quite ready for it, and it was quite messy. I mean, they played it well mechanically, but it just wasn't very set up, you know? It wasn't very prepared for. Now, Perfect is in the side lane. He's got TP, and you see that Nongshim are threatening this Baron. Will they actually start it with the Otacon buff? You have to.
Gideon's like, this is the biggest grub I've ever seen.
Small grubs, big grubs. I take them all down.
They've got tons of control over this choke point. Fisher alone could just ult to prevent them from coming in.
Well, he definitely will eventually, I would assume. Lehens is just going to get the withdrawal, but nobody is getting into the pit. Cuz cannot get it down. The Aurora ult is in, and Fisher obviously going to try for a kill. Not going to pick it up, as Kingen also does get cleaned up there in the withdrawal. Some extra gold's given over to KT, but Nongshim take down the objective.
And notice, there's still
Guess
purple on those champions because they did not die, and despite the nerf.
I think this is what Jonah Strong is highlighting, is how long it takes for you to actually come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But also they get to keep the buffs because they didn't die.
Yeah.
They withdrew, so they still have Baron buffs. So despite the long withdraw time, like you were highlighting, like Jonah Strong I think was helping us to highlight, and like the patch notes we had earlier also highlighted. You know, it doesn't matter that there's a bit of a nerf to that because you could still just get an objective off of it. BDD went for Riftmaker in this game, still hits like a truck in terms of side lane pressure, is going to be able to get that outer, you have to think. Not quite actually though, thought it was lower than that, so it will be defended. And that's kind of their cross map, right, is maybe BDD gets something here because the rest of the map has fallen to pieces. It's going to be soul point for this Chemtech Soul here for Nongshim, and Tank Jace is actually going to love it a lot.
Yeah. You got Tank Jace, you got Sejuani, going to be even that much more obnoxious to take down, even the Nautilus, right? It's not insignificant. You know, we love to meme Chemtech Soul over here at the LCK for sure, but it gets some buffs here and there. And especially, I feel like there's something mentally that happens when you just see, oh, it got buffed. You know, it might not be that much stronger, but it received a buff. And everybody, it just gets a lot more focus, you know?
Yeah, no, I do think there's definitely some psychology to that for sure. And here we are, once again. BDD, he made the play earlier, went in, the team wasn't there to follow up, but he's still the only guy with the gold lead, like we talked about in the pre-show. This is often what KT games look like, and his gold lead is not big enough to change the scope of this game, especially with how much utility Fisher can offer to this fed Kai'Sa. Super tanky Jace also has Serpent's Fang now. Rip through some of those shields. Nongshim are sitting pretty right now. 50 seconds left on this Baron. They're getting a ton of gold out of it. And a lot of map control, too. To be fair, like the Baron power play sits at super low. I think part of that's with the withdraw gold that went over and stuff, but I mean, still so much control they have now on the map. Deep vision they're setting up.
Yeah, they're not really cracking the base. That's the one thing, you know, they haven't made it to an inhibitor. But that's also kind of in the pace of this game.
Yes.
Outside of, again, Lehens, who is the one person who is forcing fights and making things happen. But yeah, they take it very passively. They're like, yeah, we got the Baron, but we're not going to overextend. We're not going to get out of position. We're not going to make mistakes. We got the Dragon. We have Soul Point. No reason to go crazy and, you know, flip the game like someone else did earlier. Which is fine.
Koenig Rookerin is done for Cuz, and they have a Varus that's about to hit his third item. Should be hitting it fairly soon, you have to imagine. And BDD got his Nashor's Tooth. So if the tank frontline can set up BDD and Duck Dom, especially BDD, for success in these upcoming fights, and he could just let his Sand Soldiers do the work, there's a front-to-back angle here for sure if nobody gets caught. But people keep getting caught. These fights keep being messy. They keep being in Nongshim's comfort zone. You know, the crazy, chaotic fights, the single-target blow-up. That's what this team is known for. That's what this composition is great at. So KT, I think if they just play a little bit slower, a little bit safer, there is a path potentially back into this game. And it's just going to be the tanks who have to set up those damage dealers. You know, they're going to have to do some front to backing with nobody dying and the tanks really absorbing all of that damage. And when you lose map control, playing like that gets a little bit tougher, but they're down, not yet out, but definitely on the back foot.
Yeah. We saw the damage numbers a bit earlier, but I didn't actually get to see. But now I'm curious, like, how much damage is Duckdom actually at? With the lack of action we've had and the fact that he is Lethality Varus, and I haven't seen a lot of big, you know, Qs hitting anyone really.
Seeming low.
Seeming kind of low.
He's 3,000 gold behind his counterpart, and his counterpart also outpokes him now with Vision with the Void Seekers.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's the thing, you know, especially before he gets his, you know, Last Whisper item. Once he does finish that, he's not really doing much to the front line. And he's not really poking better than the enemy team. So it kind of just feels like Duckdom has been hanging out, not really able to do too much here for KT.
Yeah, and earlier I said he should be hitting that third item soon. I suppose maybe I misjudged his gold. He is 40, 50 farm down on Ju, doesn't have it yet. And we'll see when that back timing does come through. 90 seconds before this next dragon. Baron up in 60. And you can see all the deep vision here for Nongshim. They're like, yeah, you guys can have a solo Chemtech dragon. That's fine with us. I think we're going to really put our focus topside, especially because Fisher can still be pushing this bottom lane safely. Like he can still be down there and then TP in when they have this many control wards for him to TP to. And then he can just control the choke point just like they did on the previous play. So rinse and repeat here as Duckdom does finally get that Sorelda's. So he's going to have it for the next fight. I just don't know if it's going to be a fair fight. I just don't think it is.
You know, it feels like a lot of times some of our lower level teams in the LCK kind of just try to copy what the top level teams do, and it just doesn't quite work out as well. I feel like Nongshim have done a bit of that in terms of their macro play and vision denial, but they've gotten really good at it.
Yeah.
Especially when not challenged, which has happened a lot in this game. Gideon is very tanky. Here comes the Maokai ultimate will lock them down, and now the turn onto Sejuani. Eventually they get the kill, but look at King's position, hops over the wall, and guess what? Duckdom's dead again. Fisher on the backside here. Can they kill Ambessa? They finally will, as Perfect does get one kill. King super tanky. It's him up against BDD. Fisher able to come back in and do a bit of damage. The hook hits for Lehens, and BDD is running away from a Nautilus, and Fisher is running away from a Maokai. They might both go down, although BDD gets over the wall and he gets some plants. The one thing to keep him alive. And now
he's got Ripmaker.
Has to respect. In goes King in, looking for the kill, and he will pick it up.
Oh, it's not enough heals there for BDD. Down he goes. And ends up being a win in the fight. Now, this is the kind of front to back that I was talking about. Look at Perfect and Cuz. They're the turtle shell, okay, for this one. BDD going to come in here and try to offer some damage for the side of KT. They need that damage so desperately. You can see Duckdom, unfortunately, is going to get exposed, though. This is like kind of the soft underbelly of the turtle in this analogy. As the flanking King comes through, Gio follows up with his ult, but BDD is still healthy here, and because he has so much damage at this point, he can just rip through this tank Jace, and there's not that many threats. Fisher is so low that it's hard for him to actually follow BDD's ultimate as the last possible second here to help peel. The fact that he lives here is kind of insane. Like, Lehens is like probably considering, like, do I hit the Baron? Maybe the Baron will get... No, it's not going to happen. Then he gets the heal here, and it's almost enough until Kingen shows up and ruins BDD's fun. But a very close fight, I think, for Nongshim. They played it really well, as, you know, the setup there was really nice for KT, one of their best fights of the game. That's solo for Nongshim after the win. Yeah, and that's really what you gain from that fight. You know, Nongshim, I was just praising them for being so clean, and then they get caught out, and it gets very messy, but they're able to barely clutch it out, and they also clutch onto their newly buffed Chemtech Soul. It's all shiny, it's all new and cool. You get 2 extra %. And I mean, this is a similar situation to what we had just a second ago, but again, the solo laners here for Nongshim are on the flank. You know, you can lead with the tank Maokai, you can lead with that Ambessa that has Death's Dance, you know, that has the Maw. It's very tanky, very difficult to burst down with this Aurora, and can eat some of that Kaisa poke, but when, you know, Kingy gets on top of the Varus, you know, he just will pop like a balloon, so you always have to try to set up your side lanes before you can start pushing through that with that Phalanx that we saw KT do last time, and they're just behind the play again here as Nongshim start to clear out these waves. That Static Shift really worth its value here in gold for Geo in this game, really helping them clear them out.
Yeah, you see the trade of ults here. King is level 18. He's jumping into the fight. Fisher, though, I'm not sure about that one. He wants to get ducked on, but ducked on. Oh, he's going to get killed and sniped by the Nautilus. Also, BDD, meanwhile, just going down. And Perfect, he's got to do it all alone. He's the one damage dealer left. It is Ambessa, but it's not quite enough. And Nongsim, they lock down the fight. And if they've got a wave here, they might look to push to end instead. Maybe a turn towards Baron. No, they say, okay, it's late enough. Let's push down mid.
I think they can get this inhibitor very easily. The wave being so far behind, though, because of BDD Sundisk, is going to buy some time for some respawns here, but they've got so much damage at this point.
I think they just get it.
I think they do end.
Jiwoo with the classic Kaisa BM. You get that all the time in solo queue. And
oh, it's classic. And Gideon can even tank the turret additionally here because he has so much health, and it's just enough time. KT knocked down a peg here in the first game. Some really great plays from Lehens. I believe it was 16 out of 17 KP in that first game. I mean, it's really high for, I mean, it's normal to be high as a support in terms of kill participation, but to be almost 100% out of 17 kills in a game like this is almost unheard of. And KT Rolster maybe a little bit back to the drawing board on this one. That one fight before Otacon is really what opened this game up. Unfortunately for KT Rolster, is BD ends up finding Lehens in the jungle and then committing into 3 people, and the fight's broken up. It's a faster rotation over. It's still a good fight for KT, like all things considered, but it's not good enough. Yeah. They had that second fight before Baron where they almost were able to get that advantage there, but were cut off by the flankers. And man, Nongshim, it's just a strong team, Valdez, I think.
Yeah, they're just really good. I think they've taken some time, and the group battle, they looked all right / mediocre, but over time, they've really improved their stuff. And see the difference, you know, Duckdom not quite able to hit the mark on the Varus. I'm not even sure that's really his fault. It just, the Varus itself just didn't really hit into this comp, was getting dove constantly, and BDD did a lot of damage. I mean, he's Azir, but he couldn't quite do it all by himself, as has been the story many times. But that is game number 1 for KT versus Nongshim. We're going to take a break and have the space to break it down. We'll be right back.
자, 내 말 좀 잘 들어주면 좋을 듯? 더 잘 들어줄게. 더 잘 들어줄게. 잘했어. 맞아. 경청할게. 네, 너무 잘했는데 조금만 더 집중하면 될 듯. 야, 긴장 너무 안 된다. 이거. 그냥 처음 왔다는 마음으로 다시 해야 된다. 오케이. 생해줄게. 내 거부터 쳐봐.
Welcome back to Law Park for the first ever LCK Cup playoffs. Well, alongside Wadid and Ox, I'm Digon, and yeah, that was a early victory here for Nongshim as they took it 1-0 against KT, the team that had time to prepare, the team that had extra footage to cover, and it didn't seem like it worked out here too much here, Wadid.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I picked KT 3-0 this game. I mean, they are looking worse than I thought because they had a week of break, right? So I thought they're gonna fix some problems that they had before, but it didn't really happen. They even look worse. So I mean, I don't know what happened, but we're gonna like break down anyways.
Also, just to make it clear, because I showed the predictions earlier, Wadid was the only person to say 3-0 KT. So he's the only person to already be wrong on his prediction.
Thank you, Dad. I was gonna go there with that one too.
Guys, I think I misclicked because it's the same team color, you know? They are red and black, you know? So it's like,
Easy to mess them up, yeah.
I misclicked. I meant that it's a 3-0 for Nongshim, you know?
Happened. I mean, KT did some misclicks in that game too.
Everyone loves a 3-0 until you get knocked out. Now, here in highlight number 1, as Ox alluded to, a couple of mistakes here by KT, and they get punished consistently here, and we have our breakdown this time with Wadid.
Okay, on my screen, I really cannot see what's happening, but yeah, I can explain what happens because it's in my brain anyway. So, guys, I think what's gonna happen on the screen is gonna be they're gonna get the mid priority, and then they will try to push together and then go into the river side. But what happens here is that they actually think that their damage dealers are safe, but they're not really like making a vision control or making a space for the damage dealer. You know, they're just walking in. You know, they thought it's safe already, but it's really not. You know, you have to ward over the wall, ward over the river, so you can actually secure the safe. But they really didn't do anything here.
Yeah, you either need to take a safer route, like Varus go around the terrain behind, so he's in a secure spot, or you need to escort them in, because if Braum's there to tank the Nautilus hook, completely different situation. It felt very rushed, I think, very rushed and disconnected, and it was clear that Nongshim were ready with a trap for that.
Yeah, and the reason why we bring this up is because these are the type of basics that you expect a team who had time off, who is the 3rd seed, to do. And when you skip the steps, you should get punished. So props to Nongshim for making that one happen. Here in highlight number 2, yet again, in the mid lane, BDD, most gold, not there. Probably not great to try and defend this by yourself.
Yeah, seriously, what is happening in this team right now? Just look at the Braum position, his own position that he can actually get engaged, but UR0 is farming. So is it like Braum's fault, like Wei's fault that he's getting engaged, or is it like BDD's fault that he's just farming AFK in the side lane, is not talking that his side lane is not showing on the map? Like, what is happening here? Like, I literally cannot see the reason.
The thing is as well, Fisher was like covering mid as the rest of the team were around the Baron pit, and then he went into fog of war, but not that long ago. It's not like Fisher made a roam from bot lane up. Like, it's like they lost vision of him and just immediately forgot that he could be there. And I think it's kind of indicative of an issue that we're really seeing from KT, is just that they're not connected, they're not coordinated. We compare that to Nongshim, who they still have work to do. You can hear Lehens after every game, like, guys, listen to me. But you can see they're trying, and they are playing so much more as a unit right now.
I mean, I think they're just doing really great plays at the right moment, because the reason why they forced the 4-man on the mid lane is because the mid turret is really low, right? So I think they could literally like predict that, like KT, for example. Okay, they're gonna force on mid, enemy side lane is missing, and mid turret is low, so we're gonna give up mid turret. It's just so simple that you can actually talk about it before, but it's really not happening on the KT side. So I'm like wondering why they're not like communicating each other. So like we saw many like team fights that Varus having no flash, but he's going for aggressive plays. That means that they're really not communicating each other's.
Yeah, I think that's a clear point, because none of the stuff we showed is like, oh, it's really complicated to do this. It's very clear that just it's not being said, and they're kind of doing a little bit of autopilot. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, the other thing we could have done is a reel of Lehens on the Nautilus consistently making plays from when they fell behind into catching back on up. He had a heck of a game and has been just the key player here for Nongshim again, without getting a ton of kills, but you could just see everything keeps going through him here, Ox.
It's very clear he's directing what the team's doing, and we saw last week when he was playing a Braum game how much the team struggled. I think when he's on these engaged champions and he can say, guys, come mid, this is the angle, this is the timing, I think the team looks so much better. So perhaps it's actually an angle for KT to try and force him off those engages so that he has to kind of direct his teammates more, makes it a bit more difficult.
I mean, I'm curious what's happening in Nongshim, because whenever we watch the voice comes after the game, like Lians is always saying that, please guys listen to me. So what's happening in the mid jungle? I don't know, man. They're really not listening to Lians.
I feel like it's just, you know, Lehens he has a very clear idea for how the game should be played. And even though we showed some good clips from Nongshim, there was definitely some messier fights later on. So I think they're still working. They're still working on it.
Yeah,
That's so hilarious, you know?
Yeah, that most recent one, it was, you listened to me really well, but let's do it better next game. And we'll see if they're able to do that. On the opposite side, KT, they've got to figure it out. They really do. They're starting to run out a little bit of time, and they have to figure it out. And we'll see if they're going to be able to do so here today, as we've got some of the fans out in the space. And yeah, we'll see if they're able to do it. Oh, that is the famed South Korean marksman from the Olympics, Park Ha-jun, who won a silver medal over at the Olympics, sponsored by KT, supporting KT. And let's see if his help will get them in the right direction. So let's send it on over to our casters for game number 2.
Thank you, Spacers, for that wonderful breakdown. Obviously, really cool guy to have on your team. We saw a picture of him with his rifle. It is very cool.
Yes, he's a very cool guy, very successful.
Silver medalist.
Yes.
That's insane.
And has won other medals as well. He's got a large amount of medals in his trophy chest, but we'll see if maybe Duckdom can learn how to aim from this guy, as he wasn't able to land a lot of the poke in that last game. I'm not trying to throw shade on Duckdom, but he was caught a lot. It wasn't about aim so much as it was about positioning, which is often quite important. And let's see what this draft is going to look like here as well, as KT, they use their BDD Azir card in game 1. And Nongshim have the simple bans here, you know, on red side. I don't think we'll see many, if any, changes. I think Mel will still be in that first spot. Wow, imagine that.
Wow, Wolf, you really get it.
And Fisher has been really good at the Galio pick, right? That's where we saw the Galio Camille, the Galio Shen find its footing with Nongshim. Galio slightly nerfed on this patch in terms of his base health, but I think the combo still works and the champ is still really strong, so I like this ban quite a bit.
Are they going to ban Talia again?
They might. I think they could ban Skarner first, but they... Because I think you don't have to change this up right now, because if KT were planning on playing Skarner, they wouldn't have banned it the same way they would have traded it last time. So let's see. They banned the Nidalee first, which I'm not the hugest fan of, actually, in first rotation.
A lot of thought going into this, because obviously on red side it feels like you have to ban Skarner and Kalista, but 2 times now in a row, Nongshim have not banned Skarner, they've banned Talia instead, and KT have felt forced to not take the trade. They've said, no, we don't want to, because obviously if you leave Skarner up, then Nongshim leave both up, and then they get 1+.
This time, though, they'll take the Vi. They won't ban that. They'll ban the Nidalee instead.
Yeah.
So this changes the dynamic quite substantially and opens up a lot of BDD's really strong champion pool that works well with Vi. His Ahri, quite well known.
But not Talia.
But not Talia, of course. But,
importantly.
Yeah, that's the big one for Vi right now and for BDD. There's other picks he can go for, though. The Rumble is also left open this time around and hurts a potential Cassante lock-in here for KT Rolster. So with Cassante still being up, I actually really like the Rumble priority here for Kingen. We'll see if Gideon wants to grab a jungle pick to match here. Won't have his iconic Sejuani anymore.
Yeah, Rumble also very good with Vi too, so
that's another good point.
Deny that combo if possible. Yone being thought about here for Fisher.
It's been one of his best, and if current Wolf told past Wolf that, he would never believe it. But Fisher has just been so good on this pick right now. He's been so clutch. Cassante doesn't feel great into Rumble. Well, we may have a lane swap on our hands, and Cassante is always going to be that rock, that great front line for a scaling AP champion for BDD, if that's what he's going to go for. So It's not a bad pick here, but there's the Ahri I mentioned, which doesn't necessarily work super well with K'Sante, but works well with the Vi.
Yeah. A lot of players have been going Corki into Yone just to handle some of that pressure. You can always Valkyrie away, you can take good trades, but the fact that you have Vi already means that you really need to have a good mid-jungle. So he picks the Ahri, which is fine, but it's not Corki. I was thinking about a jungle pick here. I don't think we're going to see Graves today, but you never know. It is still potentially 5 games.
Poppy to get locked in here. Pretty flexible. Decently strong into this composition so far as well. And I think that Elise is a pick that you're always thinking about when Poppy's on the other side because it's so strong into Poppy specifically as support. So we'll see if that gets banned here by Nongshim on red side this time around. Even though I don't think Wei has played it yet this tournament. It's definitely one to consider for sure. You can keep it for Lehens later if you do ban it. We'll take Ashe first. And for KT's side here, this Poppy is still technically a flex. But I think the focus is going to be on Gideon. It's tough to know what he's going to play here in this situation. Obviously, Vi would be the best jungle available for the Rumble, but the Rumble was denied by Nongshim Red Force. They got the Vi already. As they're going to actually put the focus on Desire instead. Can be quite annoying to deal with when you're trying to play this Vi Ahri composition because it's so safe.
Yeah. And it's just a good thing to ban away, I think, in to use Pocket against the Vi, as you mentioned.
I think if they don't ban the Elise, Caitlyn is still a strong setup here for the side of KT. The problem is if that Poppy gets flexed into jungle, then you're dealing with a different lane entirely down in the bottom side. They'll ban the Caitlyn, and that gives them a little bit more flexibility as to what AD carry Jiwoo could play, and leaves the Poppy flex a little bit more, like it feels a little bit more flexible here in this situation. But let's see what that final ban is going to be here for KT Rolster.
Yeah, it's rough. If you're banning AD carries, you will get first pick, so they feel a little bit forced to ban Ezreal here. I feel like Ezreal could have been very good for Duckdom in this situation to follow up on some of the plays, but you just got to take it away from Jiwoo, especially just another safe AD carry into the Vi Ahri. So,
okay, and Fortune gets locked in here. And this does open up the Poppy jungle for potentially that Rel to come through as the final pick. This is a really flexible situation here for Nongshim. Even though we haven't really seen that much Poppy jungle as of late, it's still definitely viable. On the other side here, do you commit to the Elise? I don't think so. Hey, Jinx, that's been an old Duckdom favorite. Thresh buffed on this patch? Maybe. I mean, Thresh Ahri also... Thresh Ahri is actually a really strong combo, too, because Ahri can go deep, and then you can set up the Lantern so she can retreat. But I just want to see Thresh, but it's just going to be a boring Leona situation. Leona's the best pick in MF when you consider the matchup directly rather than its synergy with Jinx.
Now, what is Lehens playing? That's the
question.
Could just
play Elise here, actually, if he feels confident in it, but I think it's super risky into Ahri Vi. And if he plays the Poppy here, then what is Gideon going to play becomes the big question. Xin Zhao feels decently strong here, actually. Can peel a lot. It'll just be the Alistar.
Yeah.
That one's not one I really saw coming, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, when you're thinking about Lehens, it's like, well, he could play Blitzcrank, like, he could play all this crazy stuff, and then he just locks in the most stock standard, into Leona pick. I'm going to be your front line. They didn't really, they have Poppy, but Alistar offers you a little bit more back and forth, some engage power, some defense as well.
Sometimes I like Alistar in drafts where you can really force fights around your ultimate and just kind of be this big front line that's so difficult to deal with that everyone else is set up in a skirmishing fight. Like if you've got like a Sylas composition or a really strong early mid-game champion that's going to do incredibly well in those early fights, even something like an Ezreal that can get a little bit crazy in those fights, or something like a Zeri. We've seen like Alistar Zeri where Zeri gets set up really well by the Alistar's frontlining. But in this draft, you're not really going to be skirmishing all too well super early unless you have that specific setup with the Yone or the Alistar knockups are there. And otherwise, they're going to get really bullied because your MF is already going to have some problems in terms of range into the Jinx. They have the Leona that's great into the MF as well for channeling. So this Alistar didn't really hit that hard for me, to be honest with you, Valdez. We'll see how he utilizes it. This sign has been the best one so far.
Yeah. The cheering Kingen with the moving arms.
I mean, look, he's definitely the most buff guy on the team.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel like it should be Lehenz's face on the bottom, lifting the rest of his team up, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we got game 2 on the cards. Let's hop onto the Rift right now.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Here we go, game 2. Nongshim looking very strong in their debut in the series. Game 1 was dominated by them in almost every single fight. And they played very well from ahead, you could see. Lehen's still waiting for better listening, as that is going to be spotted and pinged out. So that can actually be cleared now.
Yeah, and since it's so early, the fact that the 80 carry clears it isn't necessarily a sure bet that he's going to be in the bottom lane. And this is a nice little ward here that Kingen is spotted onto. We'll back away, look for another channel. See where we do end up, though, as Jiwoo is keeping his options open, walking in the mid lane here. They do have that ward top side to spot. Whoever first does cross over will be Kingen in this case, who did step off that ward but channeled his back. And it looks like, based on his pathing, he will hit that ward directly. So they'll know, and it is going to be Rumble top. The normal matchup that they were looking for here on Nongshim's side. But on the bottom side, well, you're feeling pretty decent about Leona and Jinx into this early game Alistar. This matchup in the mid lane is going to be really interesting. Electrocute buffed on this patch as well. They just keep buffing that.
It goes boom.
I mean, wow, I was hoping it was going to show it go boom.
Nope. Way goes in. It's actually a good trade.
Aftershock plus, you know, Leona's just base stats. Feels pretty good into the 80 carry when you're trading like that.
Yeah, also, as you mentioned, Alistar level 1 just means that it's pretty free level 2 advantage here for Duckdom and Wei.
Yeah, he's USDA approved beef to be grilled at level 1.
Yeah. I had no idea where you were going with that one, but I'm glad we got there in the end. By the way, it's actually Jiwoo and Lehens who hit level 2 first, funnily enough, because KT is letting the lane push into them. So they still have control of it, but they're using that control to actually not push and stay a little bit safer. So pretty interesting stuff.
Let's call it the Lehens respect. You never know what this guy might do.
Yeah, he is now level 2. What grade of beef is that one?
I just don't think it's that good for eating compared to level 1.
Wow, there's a big difference.
I don't think it's USDA approved, man. The Department of Agriculture is going to have to take another look.
Yeah.
We get most of our beef here from Australia and Korea.
That is true.
I don't know if Lehens has ever been. And
it's a pretty popular destination.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I don't know.
When are we going to get
most pro
Worlds in
gamers?
Sydney?
Well, a lot of pro gamers spend most of their time just, well, playing games.
True.
Staying at home and not visiting places. You
They
know who
usually
has been to Sydney?
Yeah. Who?
Ox.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. You thought I was going to say Atlas.
Yeah, I did. I thought that one seemed like the obvious one.
That was the last second turnaround.
Yeah, that's why they didn't answer it, because I was like, well, this is a trick question.
Yeah, you never see that one coming. A lot of trading up here in the top lane. Kingen might be in trouble, but he's holding the wave in a spot. But, oh, the flash comes in, and Cuz is not able to hit him as Kingen flashes away. He stays safe. It's Kingen, he's dealt with a lot of dives in his time, and he will get away from this one as well.
Yeah, he will. A lot of really good trading for Perfect to set it up, but Kingen just really knew how to handle the wave, and set up ready to flash there, expected it, and reacted instantly there. Trades his flash for Cuz's, which will limit the engage range of Vi for some potential follow-up ganks. And as you can see in the bottom lane, pretty significant advantage for Duckdom. Kingen isn't able to match set advantage in his lane, where Rumble has historically done well into Cassante, but we've seen kind of repeated nerfs to Rumble. When Cassante was super popular and we didn't have Fearless, you know, Rumble was one of the best answers when he was a little bit stronger. Still feels pretty good, though, in this matchup. And otherwise, it's been a relatively quiet early game. Nice little try from Cuz. Got that cannon.
Got the melee minion. Oh,
didn't get that one.
No.
Oh, okay, well.
Well, I guess we cursed it a little bit there. Playing Ahri and Ione, not very fun. Very nice dodge into Q3 here. BD has to flash under his own turret. And, you know, you pick Ahri so that you have a lot of pressure with Ahri and Vi, but before level 6, you're kind of just getting punished there by Fisher.
Yeah, and Fisher, you know, they both already teleported, so he can actually just push this advantage further here. And BDD gonna have to buy boots and a Dark Seal, try to run back to lane as fast as possible, but is gonna lose a significant amount of farm. And this is also topside control, 15 seconds before grubs spawn. I know how much Gideon loves those, but he's currently on the bottom side of the map. Preemptive cleanse, yeah.
Cleanse, yeah.
That was pretty slick.
It's like he never stopped running. It's like Forrest Gump in that situation. He just kept going. It was quite clean. But yeah, Gideon got here eventually. He's like, oh, I woke up late for my alarm, my grubs alarm. I gotta get over here.
And there is a ward on this, so this gives full information, of course, to KT that this is being taken. I'm gonna see Fisher go for a back. We'll see what he is able to pick up off of this. Just an extra long sword. This goes for a cheeky reset there. KT do grab the dragon. This is gonna be trade of objectives. And neither team is an incredible side laning comp, as Lahen's is a bit cut off.
Yeah. He's going to get out, but kind of annoying. He's got 2 biscuits, which, as we know, you don't use for the mana anymore. They took that away.
Yeah.
We clarified that for everyone.
Indeed.
But he's going to be able to regen a little bit. He's going to hold on to those for now. And yeah, it feels a lot like Game 1. You know, same sides and everything, right? Both teams are kind of just hanging out. And at least this time, KT, you know, they get the trade of the dragon. We saw in Game 1, the Ocean Drake was there. It's very valuable early on. They just weren't able to get it for whatever reason. And it felt like Nongshim were kind of running away with every early objective, as Lahen's already a little bit low. He's going to pop some of those biscuits now, and he gets pushed away.
He's just backing away. This is not a great situation for Jiwoo. 20 CS down into this Jinx, who's going to explode in the late game and is accelerated by dive composition.
They have no idea. It's just a face check. Duck Dom. Eventually, he's just going to get knocked up. They just have no idea. Nobody checks the brush. And they're just going to die for it. It's not even Duck Dom's fault.
And Fisher was there, too, like to maybe even follow up as well. He had complete prio. I mean, he's like, oh, I guess you guys got that under control already. And that puts Jiwoo into a gold lead. You know, that whole CS advantage we were talking about wasn't looking great for him, but all it takes is just the man, the myth, the land in the bottom lane. And he pulls it up again. Nobody checks the brush. He sets up the headbutt. And that is all she writes for that one.
Yeah.
And
he extended himself into the brush, and they just didn't check it. Like, Wei either has to put a ward there, he's got to walk into the brush. It was a very slick maneuver, like he played around vision very well, but I still feel like it's a bit of both, right? Like, great play from Lahen's, but also mistake from KT. And that's a big one, Wolf.
Yeah, I don't know if Wei had his trinket available or not at that moment in time. I'm not 100% sure if there was like a real miss there, but either way, Lahen's gets away with it. They set up a kill there, knock the Jinx out of the lane, and he's still up on farm, but a bunch of gold here for Jiwoo, and that puts every single champion on Nongshim's side of the map at a gold advantage, albeit slight in Jiwoo's case. That was the one hole for Nongshim. We'll watch this again.
I wanted to see how he got in the brush.
I mean, he has a
We'll see Duck Dom's reaction instead.
여기 있다.
Oh,
알리 볼래?
go for Alistair.
무시되기는 생각 못했어요.
He didn't expect him in there.
미친 크랙. 힘들다.
He's so tired. Somebody that's what he said, right? He's 힘들다.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a pretty cracked play.
Yeah.
Lahen's is dead now. Gideon is going to miss his ult. It was beyond the max range. He tried his best. It was on target, but now maybe a dive. This is a Poppy and an MF to try to clear the wave. The cleanse comes through, but it is MF, so she just dies. And Gideon, ooh, very close. A bunch of flashes have to be used by KT just to get out. Fisher gonna show himself first and then look to enter. BDD trying to set something up, but he might just bait his team in as Fisher gets the kill. BDD in a rough spot. Gideon getting knocked into the wall, and Fisher still here. The Q3 gonna hit again, and Duckdom, he doesn't have any sums. Nice charm here from BDD. Very close to getting the kill onto Duckdom.
Man, Fisher is just out of control right now. That was an incredible play by him. It doesn't lead to any kills, but it is going to zone them significantly here, and BDD is struggling to even back right now. Lehens comes over here, and there should be some plate gold going into the Yone's pocket, as well as some CS denied. So great play there on the initial setup by KT Rolster, but a good punish to come through as well. So watch how this one all shakes out. You know, Duckdom flashing here really ruins everything because he can just set up now the slow with the zap. This is his ultimate, but that's not what's important. What's important is Cuz shows up, sets up the kill onto Lehens, Jinx gets excited, and so therefore they can follow up on this play. It's really easy for him to zoom forward. They avoid the MF ult. It clears the wave, but like this comp is so good at diving. I mean, it's a pick comp. It's what it does. Jinx loves pick comps because it gets her to shoot real fast. Then Fisher here, I mean, this is just, the guy's kind of crazy. His movement is so difficult to predict in this situation, and he just snap flash ults and trades one back. Not able to get the full setups here, though, onto Duckdom, unfortunately for him, but still. And nice charm there from BDD to keep his AD carry safe. BDD probably yelling at Duckdom when he went back in there for a second. He was probably like, I saved you, don't you dare!
That's the worst. If you ever extend to save your teammate in solo queue and they die anyway, and you die, it's rough. By the way, meanwhile, as that was all happening, we were watching the replay. Nongshim have 6 grubs, so really keeping up their grub rate, as it was, in fact, Gideon who did just pick them up pretty much for free. You see that KT looks like they were able to get some control around the bottom side of the map in trade, but it's taken them a while to really pull the trigger on this dragon, so no value extracted just yet.
Not quite.
Just gonna leave it up.
Yeah, just gonna leave it up. There's a ward here. They have scuttle control. KT, that is, plus an additional control ward. Like, they're very aware of everything that's happening around the dragon right now, but for the moment, we'll leave it be. And with a lack of vision here for Nongshim, it's pretty tough to commit and try to scout anything. So this is pretty tricky. But I don't know what it necessarily means.
Somebody would have to be here for it to be much. And speaking of which, here is that somebody. Yeah, you just press your R button, in goes BDD, gonna land the charm. Kingen running real fast to his doom, and he's trying to actually get the kill on him. BDD flashes away! He turns it around! Kingen! Are you kidding me? And now he's gonna get a double kill! What? How did he manage that?
He doesn't even have Riftmaker sitting on Leandri's. My man is cooking, literally. He cooked them to death. Kingen's insane. Calculated, sick flash. That's one of the biggest outplays we've seen in a while. Oh man, now you got a Fed Rumble to deal with as well. Nice hide on Bush.
Yeah, I mean, we had a 3-0 predictor. It was for KT. We didn't have anyone predicting 3-0 for Nongshim, but KT's mental right now must be in the gutter. I mean, there's nothing going right for them. Your RE5 just lost a 2v1 versus a Rumble who had 0 kills prior. I mean, this is...
That's plate gold in the mid lane as well, and they're just getting shoved out here. Duckdom's so low from that play from Gideon moments later. That's really hard for him to actually set anything up here. They're going to have to go for a reset. Another wave may crash in here before that happens.
I want to see the replay. Show me the replay.
We're going to see it in a second here, but I think the observers want to make sure everybody gets their backs completed, as this may just be the mid turret going down. I mean, Lehens is looking to mess up some other, anyone coming over to try to deny this, like maybe even stop some backs, as they are just going to force this turret, and if anyone stays, they're dead.
Yeah.
Really good play here from Nongshim. So oppressive. Man, now I think it will get your replay.
Yeah, they're really great from ahead, as we've seen. It's very obvious. Here's the replay.
All right, so question mark ping first. Gets bolted. He calls it out. Gets his scrap shield here while BDD is on cooldown. Flashes, turns his flame spitter onto him. Gets a harpoon, gets a second harpoon, Qs through the wall. Doesn't even flinch at the Jinx ult.
뭐야? 야!
What? Kingen, what was that?
미친놈인데.
You are a crazy, man. You are insane.
Man, Nongshim are making the sick plays, the crazy plays today. An actual crazy play from him. And the coaching staff can't even believe it as well.
It's crazy in the booth as well.
This is definitely going to be one of the most memorable plays of the season.
Yeah, that's #1 on the Mad movie, I'd say.
I would wholeheartedly agree. I don't care what happens for the rest of this week.
Get my vote in there already, you know who I'm voting for. I think it's actually JK who does it. But yeah, that's rough for KT as well. Because, like, you should have enough damage to kill pretty much anybody. And generally, Rumble, especially with just Leandri's, is a relatively squishy target, but he was already level 11.
He had
and they were level, like, 9?
Yeah, he had the scrap shield, the harpoons connecting. He did not
Conqueror,
have,
right?
Yeah,
so
he did not have Merc Treads, to be clear as well. You know,
yeah,
just wasn't enough damage.
They couldn't quite burst him 100-0, and then he flashes away from some of the damage. Trying to dive into Gasante, that's an interesting one, as Lehen's tanking it up with his ult, and that will be enough to tank all of that turret damage. In goes Cuz, and he has to flash away. And my reaction comes because, you know, I mentioned their mental. That's not a good play from Cuz either.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not ideal. Committing the flash there, not going for the ultimate. And I can see the thought process because you have a Vi, you have a Leona. If Duckdom gets that excitement proc, then maybe you could catch those retreating members, but you're just too late on the play. You've got to be able to judge that faster, and I think it is the frustration coming through that you're mentioning as to why a Cuz ended up making that judgment call there, or what ultimately ended up being a poor judgment call. Isn't punished too much for it, but the flash being down now again hurts his ability to engage in a really meaningful team fight. And it's also just going to be the dive leads to Herald going over to Nongshim. They already have feats of strength. They've got a Herald and the mid turret down for a long time, so they can just use this to get prio on through the bottom lane for this dragon that they already have prio for essentially here. As soon as he drops it, I mean, the only person who's not down there is Jiwoo. Fisher has teleport, and Jiwoo's on his way, and they can just stall this out. As Duckdom is not really where he wants to be. They're going to drop the Herald in the top lane instead, but they're not losing control of the dragon, so they're winning on both fronts.
Yeah. I mean, they control everything. Like, I thought game 1 was pretty oppressive and one-sided, but this game 2 has reached a new level. Gideon, rather, is going to flash just to avoid Cuz having a chance to, you know, flash ultim or anything. Doesn't actually have flash. Fisher, wow, going to avoid that. He's still dead, but nice mechanics in his death. Buying time for the Nongshim push into mid, I guess, and bot.
Yeah, and they don't get Dragon yet, but they should be able to gather for it here because Fisher will have TP in 25 seconds and can head over there if it is necessary when that does get started up. As KT will get one outer turret, their first of the game, eventually in return. Like, it's not done yet, but they should be able to get it. I say that. Kingen says otherwise. And he's gonna come up here and kill the wave. So they defend the turret and get the dragon. Is Nongshim a good macro team?
Yeah.
Fisher's been watching too much Drive to Survive, man. He thinks he's an F1 racer, and he's taking the meaning a little bit too literally here. He thinks he can get out. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do so, but he buys a ton of time. Because, like you're saying, on the map, mid lane, bottom lane, dragon, these things are all up. And he got the successful, push in. They got the turret earlier.
What's
they got
going
that kill.
on here? Is King in here? He TP top. I guess he backed. Yeah, he's already out of there. They were trying to gank brush him, but nope.
Yeah, they just wasted more time trying to hope for anything because they're so far behind in this game, they have to resort to tricks. And Lehen's just like, no, I'm the only guy who gets the bush kill. Didn't happen for you guys in the bottom lane. It's not going to happen for you guys in the top lane.
Yeah. They got that Mountain Drake. It is Ocean Soul, which does come forward. So Nongshim probably going to use their lead to pick up 3 Ocean Souls for like pretty tanky. 3 Ocean Souls? 3 Ocean Dragon Ocean Soul for Poppy, for even the Rumble at this point who has a lot of health, and the Alistair, all going to enjoy that quite a lot. And you can sustain a lot of poke from stuff like Jinx. The only issue is that KT's not really a poke comp, right? They're mostly, we're going to die if we're going to full commit.
Yeah.
And so the Ocean Soul doesn't feel like it has...
It's not that valuable.
Huge amount of value, but
yeah,
it's impressive.
It's just to see how much vision they have around the pit, like how they can just camp red buff, for example. And KT's comp is a dive comp that sets up Jinx, so when you're behind and you can't go in on anyone because you can't see anyone and you're not sure who else with a target you might encounter, you can't make that commitment. And if you do and you lose, like, you fall further into the hole. It's just a zero-sum game. Now trying to catch Fisher because they're like, all right, we have enough vision on top side and no one is here to save him. Let's see if we can get that Yone. Meanwhile, Otacon.
I mean, yeah, they see Cuz and Otacon's gone.
And like, Fisher can just let this turret go and TP bottom, just get out of here if you wanted to. Like,
or he could die. That's okay too. Yeah, he's very dead. I just don't think it really matters, but it's pretty funny that he does good.
My point here, though, is that, like, yeah, he shouldn't have died there, and he could have just given it up. But if they don't try to dive him, and they go bottom and contest Otacon, he's there. Like, he can't lose. He could just TP there if they go to team fight Otacon. If they go to dive him, he can walk away. He should have walked away. They do get the turret and get a kill in return, but it's still a big win for Nongsha. But it could have even been better if he survived there. But, like, there's no trade-up on the map for KT right now.
Remember when you were talking about, you know, Cassante and Rumble?
Yeah.
We are going to have a 1v1 here. Perfect is down 2 levels. Just trying to keep Kingen around. And you can see the damage that is coming out of Kingen at this point in time. It's 2 items completed, plus the Stork Pen boots, upgraded piece of strength. And nobody really can lane against the Rumble now. Like, Ahri certainly can't. Perfect already was having a rough time. Tried to set something up there, and Kingen immediately knew because it was very obvious. Like, why would a level 13 Cassante be running at me, right? Now trying to run at the Leona as Wei tries to flash away. A lot of damage coming up from both the MF and the Rumble, but not quite enough as Wei will survive. Lehens as well getting pretty low. He's going to survive. Gideon might have to pay for that, but the withdrawal does come through. And even Solar Flare going wide for good measure as Fisher is going to TP into mid. Not able to do too much, but just more pressure from Nongshim, I guess.
I mean, Nongshim have just basically put everyone around Kingen. So, like you mentioned, Ahri can't beat him in the side lane anymore. He's definitely not going to have any opportunity. 2 levels down. Ahri Vi absolutely can, but not if the whole team is there. And they've just put the Yone on the other lane. Wherever Kingen is, Yone is on the other side. And that's mostly been top lane for Fisher. You can see it on the top side of your map right now on your mini-map. Fisher's just chilling. And he's like, I can be there. You guys need me? You guys cool? Okay, I'm staying. And look at the way they set this up because they have the cone here, the bullet time from Gio to prevent really a big fall-up here. And Gideon, as tanky as he is, ultimately will have to withdraw, but it's a win in the fight. Yone gets free push. He just teleports mid. He's like, I'm working on more. You know, I'm taking more of the map. I don't love that teleport, but the fact that he could have come down and helped out. It just shows that Nongshim have so many options. Lehens.
Yeah, KT trying to go for a play on the top side, and Nongshim were just 1 step ahead of this one. Jonah Strong was hiding the vision for a reason. And that's going to be a nice little free kill onto Wei.
Wherever Kingen goes, Nongshim are there. You can't catch him. You can't find him. You're not going to trap him.
They're level 16 now.
The one time they got him alone, he killed 2 people.
Yeah.
And he's never going to be alone now. You're never getting that bounty.
Yeah. They try to send multiple people. It never works out. He is always a huge threat in the side lane. As maybe Jack shows for him next. We'll have to wait and see.
I would love it.
It's going to be a tanky Rumble for sure. It's kind of like Battle Rumble, especially with the Riftmaker builds.
Sork shoes. Hooney's about it, 100%.
This gets a Hooney 5 out of 5.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah. Somebody call up Hooney. Get the official recording.
Hooney's actually writing the angriest text right now. No Wolf, it's Void Staff third. Like, his control ward will be repositioned by this dragon that Fisher is soloing, and they have so little vision that this paltry Jinx ultimate will, you know, who's like, maybe, like, you know, let's see what's going on over there. We just have no idea. We can't see anything on the map. And once again, can you catch this Rumble by Ahri? No, because the whole team is there, and this allows Fisher to just be on the other side of the map, killing objectives and killing minions. He's 2-2 in this game, but he spent most of the game just killing minions and cleaning up what's left on the other side while Nongshim just bodyguard this really, really high DPM Rumble. Gigan's ready for more. He's ready to fight.
Yeah. Gonna put down the Chompers just to make sure they can get the blue buff. I suppose that is good for them, but
Lehens has been on so many high-profile teams, Valdez. Even KT, when they nearly were able to go to the LCK finals, right, when they were World's representatives, he spent his time on Griffin when they were at the top, spent his time on Genji when they were at the top. he has so much game sense, he has so much knowledge, and you can really feel he is the brain of this team. And they're finally listening to him, and this team just looks like it could be Gen G or T1, you know, or D+ on a good macro day, with how oppressive they're being and how well they're shutting down KT Rolster's composition. And if you're a Nongshim fan, this is like what you've been waiting for years, because even when they made playoffs in 2021, it didn't look this crisp. This is just something else.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit, when I first saw this roster, I was like, eh. You know, I didn't really feel like it had the punch. And there's still a lot of good teams to get through. They haven't even gotten through KT yet, but just the fact that they look this good this quickly is really a testament, I think, to the ability to use that knowledge and experience that Lehens has and actually just give it over to his team, right? Not everybody can do that. There's a lot of great players that have been around forever that can't coach their entire team to do the right thing, you know? Whereas Lehens is one of those that can.
And if you're in the support position, I feel like you have so much agency to do so, more than BDD necessarily in mid. Not everyone can be Faker, not everyone can be the brain, the shot caller, see everything, 4D chess from the mid lane. We have a lot of mid laners who've been shot callers, who've been successful, but you know, it's usually the support that ends up having the most agency in that type of shot calling position, and Lehens absolutely is famed for it. Barrel as well, as Nongshim are hit by a rocket, but I don't think they care.
I mean, they should be able to get this Baron. What happens after is really the question. Not even going to smite that one. Charm goes down on a Kingin, but he's still alive. There's no follow-up. The rest of KT not even there. Duck Dump's not even here yet. As finally he is going to show up. Lehens got his ult rolling, but it's 5v4. And you just lost the Baron. So Nongshim, they say, okay, we'll take our win and we'll back away. You know, we took a lot of damage from the rocket, but we got the objective for free, so why throw it away? They listen to Lehens once again, and they get even farther ahead.
Kingin's level 17. He's still 2 up on both soul laners, so even though he gets air quotes caught, you know, like he looks like maybe he's in danger. He does have Jack shows completed. And he just doesn't really care about your paltry attempts to kill him. And even if he dies there, like that's best case scenario for KT, he dies there, I don't think they can get more, you know? And he offered an equalizer to help them retreat, since he did survive, but I mean, Nongshim are just not taking any chances here. Now that they have Baron, the side laning Rumble even more impressive, and for the first time in a while, everyone's coming with Fisher. Because Fisher's the guy who can kind of engage at range here through these turrets. He's going to pull a lot of resources, and then the Rumble on the other side is just going to let the minions do the big work as it clears the wave so fast.
I feel like you could, if you ever want to learn how to like control vision from ahead, just take a look at Nongshim's Game 1 and Game 2, because it's just been lights out. We've said it so many times for a reason, but like every single time KT try to get vision, there's a control ward in their face. They just have, it's so suffocating. They do have a lot of flank wards actually, but they just don't really have a lot of vision in their own jungle. It has been that way for quite a while. And I don't feel like from this far behind you can really like get a flank onto Kingin, who's 3 levels up on Perfect.
The best way, the best way to play into this dive comp too is not to 1-3-1, it's just a 4-1. So you can't really flank the 4, and the 1 is so far away and so well set up. I mean, there's just no angle here for KT. Like, is BDD gonna flank this 4-man with that ward in the mid lane? It's just too risky. There's collapse on him, and where there isn't deep vision is behind King, and they're gonna finally maybe find this guy. Maybe.
Nice dodge on the harpoon, but that does mean that you're not in range. Meanwhile, the inhibitor is going down.
They let Kingin do the pushing, and then they let the 4-man do the hitting. And then when they try to get the Rumble, he's just so far away, he's so safe they can't catch him, and then turrets go down, inhibs go down. This is beautiful macro from Nongshim on display.
Yeah, it really is. It's crazy to see the development of this team. And unfortunately for KT, we haven't really we haven't seen much from them. You know, they are our 3rd seed, but they're kind of getting bodied right now. There's not too much to talk about in this game anymore, which is why we're talking about all the stakes and the narrative. Is now looking for the dive here. Lehens goes in. He can easily tank this turret because it's just dead beat. And they don't have a wave, but Fisher doesn't seem to care, as he will be pulled many different ways and taken down. That's going to stop the push for now from Nongshim, as maybe they'll just go for the Drake instead.
Gonna back away. It's not Ocean Soul, it's just Soul Point. But frankly, Valdez, we already talked about how the Ocean Dragons don't really matter that much in this game, but it's really just the gold lead that is going to be tough to crack here. And the map control, the oppressive vision, gets even tougher to deal with when super minions are coming down 2 of your lanes. And the next objective, you know, is like where you have bottom side. This is the only place where there's no, you know, inhibitor down. So you have to go top, and then the dragon is free. Like they have the right inhibitors down the right side of the map for current objective. As you could just see, there's just no way out. There's just nothing you can do.
That was very telegraphed, I have to say. You know, Q3 available, he's hitting the Cassante. BDD's like, yeah, he's going to dash into this guy, isn't he? Lines up the charm, it's just a free kill. Fisher also got ulted by Cassante just to pull him around a bit, do a bit of extra damage.
BDD with that play does take a gold lead.
Yeah,
it's the BDD stripe, you know, it used to be the Rascal stripe on KT.
Yeah, I feel like some players, when they get very far ahead, they kind of lose focus. I'm definitely one of those guys in solo queue. And then, like, eventually in solo queue, you'll lose. For Fisher, thankfully for him, his team is almost definitely not going to lose from this spot, but he has certainly lost a bit of focus, we could say. He's just over-aggressive.
He's been the, like, weak side Yone in this game, sides this whole game, to be fair, though. Like,
but also really dying.
Yeah.
Well, Gideon's just going to step on some chompers. And, well, he stepped on something, got stunned up, and either way, we're diving still as we're killing the inhibitor. Maybe a chancer for KT. Gideon is going to go down, but Jiwoo able to peel up against Cousin Kingen. He is the raid boss. He is the guy you gotta kill. You can kill Jiwoo. They don't really care about that. You gotta take down Kingen, and then we're talking as BDD just gonna get gunned down here by Jiwoo. And that should be finally the end of the game here for Nongshim, taking game 2.
Clean 2-0 start, and for KT, unfortunately, there's a lot to see here. Nongshim, very dominant start to this series. Lehens puffs up his collar. He's ready to pack it up and take a break here as Nongshim, all business, all macro. Kingen, the man of the hour, but set up really well by his team. Fisher just sitting in sides, absorbing the pressure. They are running circles around KT Rolster right now. The way better coordinated, way better macro team so far. And once they got an impressive lead, there was almost no way back in. That last fight, you put all your effort into the Poppy, and then yes, Vi ults a Bloodthirster holding Jiwoo, and he just doesn't care. He flashes, he's so far away, he's isolated the Vi, and then they just front to back it, easy peasy. KT Rolster is starting to feel a little hopeless.
You can see they're not going to spend too much time in the coaching box because I think right now it's might not even be about, you know, what went wrong in the game. Maybe you don't even want to harp on the game. You kind of just want to reset your mental and try to start the big comeback because you have to pull off a reverse sweep now for KT. And I don't think nitpicking at the little things that were quite obvious in game 2 is going to help. So probably a good call from the coaching staff. Just go in the back. Maybe you can talk about some other stuff and hope to reset.
Yeah. This Nongshim roster reminds me of the family vibes we had on KT, you know? But KT has seemed to have lost that. And they've only got a short break to kind of get themselves together and start the reverse sweep, Valdez. I'm not sure if I could see it right now.
Rise to greatness. Nongshim, for now, have done exactly that. 2-0 up against KT. And we'll see how it continues here in this series as we are done for game number 2. We're going to take a break and have the space to break it down. We will be right back.
바위 쪽으로 볼게. 바위. 빠질게. 안 날려도 되는데. 오케이, 안 날려. 바위 볼게. 이거 야 하나부터 쳐봐. 레오나 상태부터 봐. 상태부터 볼래? 야 뒤에 아리야. 형 살짝만 봐줘. 바위 봐줘. 나 좋은데다. 바위 봐줘. 야 레오나 봐줘. 야 아리. 안돼. 끝내라. 야 얘들아 다음 쳐. 아 끝났잖아 이렇게. 야 바위부터 밀면 되는 거야. 얘들아 단판 나가자. 잘했어. 단판하자. 성훈이 형 좋은데? 아니 바텀에서 어떻게 했냐? 강사장 믿고 있었다고. 이게 지금 말이 안 돼. 이거 말이 안 되는데? 나이스. 얘들아 우리 다시 첫판 마인드로 다시.
Proving yourself in Noxus is no easy feat, and Mel will use every tool she can to do it, including her enemies' powers. In-game, Mel aims to catch out enemies, poke them down, and deal huge bursts of damage at exactly the right time. Mage players and Arcane fans, it's your time to shine. Welcome to the Mel Champion Spotlight.
Any worthwhile venture involves risk.
Before anything else, let's cover Mel's signature ability, her W, Rebuttal. Rebuttal gives her a small burst of move speed. It also grants a barrier that negates damage from anything except towers, and reflects enemy projectiles back at their casters. Auto attacks, waves, missiles, anything that would be blocked by Yasuo's wind wall gets reflected by Rebuttal. Reflected projectiles are converted into magic damage, but function as they normally would otherwise. Like this, and that, and this one, and that one. You get it. Now for Mel's passive, Searing Brilliance. Damaging an enemy with an attack or ability applies a stack of Overwhelm. You can stack Overwhelm infinitely, charging up potential damage. When this damage amount exceeds a target's current health and shields, Overwhelm detonates to execute them.
Nothing I couldn't handle.
Searing Brilliance also empowers Mel's next basic attack to fire 3 additional missiles after casting an ability. She can cast up to 3 abilities in a row to gain a max of 9 extra missiles on her next attack. Mel's Q is Radiant Volley. She unleashes a barrage of explosions in a target area. Each one deals a small amount of damage and stacks her passive. Her E is Solar Snare. Mel sends out an orb of unstable energy that files wildly as it travels. Enemies hit by the energy take damage over time and are slowed for the duration. Those who touch the orb itself are rooted. Lastly, Mel's ult is Golden Eclipse. Passively, it increases her damage from Overwhelm stacks. On cast, she unleashes her power on every target marked with Overwhelm, dealing tons of damage based on how many stacks they have. Golden Eclipse does not consume these stacks, so targets are still vulnerable to her passive if she brings them low enough for an execute.
Feel my light.
While this ability can hit monsters, it's only castable if an enemy champion is affected by Overwhelm. So plan your Baron steals accordingly. Mel's damage potential makes her a serious threat in extended fights, but if an opponent can burst her quickly or disengage to wait out the stacks from Searing Brilliance, they'll extinguish a lot of her power. And even though her passive is an execute, it respects magic resist. So bulk up if you don't want to get overwhelmed. The reflect on her W is pretty powerful, but only if an ability is worth reflecting. For example, champions with sticky engage tools like Amumu and Nautilus won't mind rebuttal one bit. As a backline mage, Mel will really shine for players who like to poke from safety, so give her a try if you play Xerath, Lux, Hui, or any other artillery champions. Let's skip the rest of the pleasantries, shall we? Get ready to rise with Mel, the soul's reflection.
The arcane is at my fingertips.
New champion Mel's passive is Searing Brilliance, and KT could use some of that because they're getting cooked by the Noodle Boys. 2-0 right now, our Nongshim Red Force over KT Rolster. Digon alongside Ox and Wadid. And yet again, it's another kind of passive game by KT. Has a couple of very basic mistakes. And then once they fall behind, they just don't find a way back in.
I mean, if you didn't watch the game, you can actually see what happened in a space that like, if we don't use any highlights, then like just mad movies, then maybe you can see that, oh, the game was really messy.
I mean, honestly, I feel like game one, there was a bit more fight back from KT. There were some fights towards the end that were close considering the gold lead. This one just kind of felt like once Nongshim had control, didn't know how to deal with it.
I mean, we don't have any highlights to show you, actually, you know? Like, there's this one-sided game, just completely KT getting demolished by Nongshim, so it was really kind of meh. But at the same time, we saw Kingen doing a 1v2, so it was really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. This is all you need to know about this one. Hide on Bush did not work out here on Kingen.
And the thing is, we see the Leona start to walk away thinking, oh, they've got it. Look how low the Rumble is. But he gets the Scrap Shield, he pops a Biscuit, he manages to stack Conqueror with those autos, and then he also gets the Triumph Heal. And you can see the healing ticking, or the Biscuits are doing 24, 24, 24. There's a Triumph Heal. Actually kind of crazy. Really well played by Kingen, but also just KT thinking, you know, he's as good as dead. Well, he wasn't.
Yeah, that's a good usage of new Biscuit because like back in the day, the old Biscuit is all about the laning phase, right? If you want to pressure in lane, you pick up the Biscuit to like sustain as well. But I think nowadays, especially from the side laners, they're using a Biscuit as a like mid late game tool to actually survive from those ganks.
Yeah, because it doesn't give mana anymore, but it gives 50% more healing. And you can see, you know, this is the healing he got from his runes. That's only the first Triumph proc, by the way, from the Ari kill. His health was around 2,100 at that time. So
no way.
He healed a third of his total health in that short period from those runes. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, this isn't Daddy's Biscuits anymore. They put all the good, the sugar, extra yeast, milk, all that's in the biscuits now.
Proteins as well, by the way.
Yeah, protein as well.
Kingen is buffed up.
Yeah, because he's the Giga Chad. We had on the caster saying, I wonder how Huni would say he's building. And Huni checked on in saying, Lil Bro knows Rumble pretty well, but I would have built Magi's first.
Uncles,
that's Huni. That's Huni.
You know it's from him when that's the comment.
Yeah, so thank you, Huni, for weighing on in. A great game there by Nongshim. But let's flip it on the other side here. KT now down 2-0, and we wanted to take a look at the draft a little bit because obviously we were playing on a new patch. They decide to still stay on blue side, but the thing that is jumping out here, and it probably has to do with the patch, banning out Skarner on blue side. That's something that we just don't really see too often here, Ox.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're doing a favor to Nongshim, because especially with Kalista being like a permaban, it seems like Mel is a permaban. You might just have no bans for Nongshim if they have to ban Skarner as well, but KT kind of doing them a favor by banning it themselves. Maybe they're worried if they leave Skarner open, then Nongshim don't ban Kalista and they have to pick one, but it feels weird to me. I also think something that really stands out to me is game one we had this Jace for Kingen, and then game two we had the Rumble, and these picks we've seen him be really proficient on, we've seen him have big impact in these games. I feel like they've accepted that Perfect is struggling in this matchup, like putting him on the Xante. I think you need to do more to try and limit the picks that Kingen has access to, because it's just taking over games.
Yeah, and also it really hurts that already VDD's weapons are gone. For example, Azir and Yone is gone, so I feel like they're just on a downfall right now. But at the same time, I'm kind of wondering as a support player, what is actually Wei's playstyle? You know, is he actually like engaged support, or is he like defensive support player? Because like whenever I see his playstyle, he's not really doing anything like action, like proactive plays in a game. So I feel like he really needs to step up and just, even though it looks like a trolling, you give it a try. You have to flash in. You have to do something to make it happen, you know?
Like in this game, if you were going to play something like Zeri Lulu or Jinx Lulu, you could have more impact than a Leona who doesn't make that initiation. So if he is going to play the Leona, that's fine, but he really needs to make his impact feel present.
And on top of that, maybe you people think that, oh, the draft is issue. I still think that draft is not the issue. You know, if you put away the names, then it's still really okay draft. You know, you can actually play that out. But the issue is that the player is not a draft, in fact.
Yeah, 1 win away are Nongshim from being top 4. Can you believe that? Top 4.
Whoa.
Not KT, not DRX, who was 3rd seed here in the group stages, 4th seed in the group stages. Not one of T1 or Hanwha Life Esports. It's going to be the Noodle Boys, and they're on the cusp of learning how to win. This is what we want to see by teams in the middle of the pack here, Ox. Like a team learning how to win, learning how to be successful yet again.
I think it also just shows the value that like a strong voice can have in a team. We've seen this with D+, with Beryl. We're seeing it right now with Nongshim, with Lahens. It's not all about just what you see on the Rift, the gameplay there, but also just the value they bring to the team as a whole.
All right, well, here we go. It is match point. Wadid did say it would be a 3-0, but maybe not for the team that he thought.
Well, I don't have my glasses on, so like I picked the wrong team, guys. I still have my predictions on, guys. 3-0 for red team, yeah?
Yeah.
Red colored team.
Yeah, well, thankfully, we've got a couple guys that don't need glasses to call the game. Let's send it back on over to Valdez and Wolf.
Thank you, Spacers. Degon, I wear contacts, actually, so you are very wrong.
Yeah, have you guys noticed that I wear glasses on the desk every time?
Yeah, we absolutely need glasses. He's pointing to his head like he's like,
yeah, I just don't know things.
I just don't understand the way that the world works. It's okay, Degon. We'll let you know.
Degon saved my life earlier by bringing me a coffee, so I can't disparage.
Never again.
All right, so it's been discussed. Nongshim have 2 wins on red side. This is KT's 3rd and final opportunity on blue side. If they win this game, it's expected that Nongshim will pick blue side for the remainder of the series. So maybe that Skarner ban needs to look, because I feel like the Talia ban, it seems weird when you think about the overall meta, but it feels like it's really hurt BD's ability to roam and impact plays. And it's been one of his best picks. I would have loved to play it with the Vi that Cuz did pick up in that first game. So we'll see what ends up coming through here as we see the Kalista ban 2nd this time around. We'll see if Skarner is for a 3rd time ban by KT. The Ziggs ban makes me feel like maybe not.
Yeah, the issue with this now is that Nongshim can't do the trade, right? Because if KT leaves Skarner open, you have to ban Skarner, right? So kind of interesting call from them to not utilize what has been working in the first couple of drafts. We talked about it, or Space talked about it. If KT still bans Skarner here, then they really do not want to play Skarner. And that would be a big hole in their draft,
yeah,
I mean, say. Instead, like, it's a Lee Sin ban.
It's so weird. Okay, they will ban it, so we won't find out. But if they left it open and they didn't pick it, I mean...
Oh, then you're just, yeah.
But then even if KT somehow won this, you'd be like, for any opponent that has KT in the future, like, well, I guess this team can't play Skarner. I don't know. That's bizarre. But that's not going to be the case in this game here, which could be our final of the series, is because we'll get his hands on the Nidalee. See where things go here for Gideon. As Kingen has had some power picks early in the draft, I'm going to push that Ezreal up to the top as the AD carry pool has thinned significantly. I say that. Another 2-item spike AD pick going to be locked in instead.
Yeah, I mean, Corki, it's funny. It has been paired with Nidalee many times. We are not big fans of it here, but it offers you a source of AD and AP, at least, between the two, if you do end up doing that. So maybe a little bit of a pick away as well.
Well, the 2-0 team is going to go for 2-item power spike AD carries at the beginning of this one, I guess. Just face up, and very early in the draft as well, but just wanting to make sure they can get their hands on power here. And now it's hard to deny Gideon from playing that Zyra pick. That is going to be so much magic damage. Feels pretty good into what, especially with the Renekton locked in here, what KT are putting together. So we'll see. Also can match the Nidalee decently well. So I think it's a wise choice. Perfect on Renekton has been something we've seen in the past. Works extremely well with Nidalee. Now this one, I'm not so sure about. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I don't think it's a good choice in this case. But I don't normally like to say that. This is better.
Yeah, Zarya is definitely better. The only issue with picking Zarya alone is that you can't get, like, you know, Zarya Lulu or, you know, one of those lane duos that can be very oppressive. We have seen
Lilia.
Gideon on the Lilia It is very strong. There's no MF available anymore, so won't be able to see any of that synergy. It got banned out the last time it was picked, and then MF was left.
I think this is a big, bold statement, as we've seen from Nongshim in games 1 and 2, that they don't think that Perfect is going to be able to get a ton done on this Renekton, because I feel like this pick is a little bit more vulnerable, because it has to get into the thick of things practically in melee range in order to get its value into Renekton. That's why I thought the Zyra would be a more likely pick in this scenario. Because they prioritize the Zarya, they still get that Taliyah ban in second phase here towards BDD. And the Elise will fall here. I am curious what the game plan is going to be in terms of solo lanes here for Nongshim Red Force. You know, obviously the Corki is going mid, but how will they like kind of get through the laning phase against a Renekton topside? Corki is blind in this scenario. They take away the Syndra, which is an old BDD favorite, which can pressure the Corki in lane. Similar story with the Taliyah. How are they going to put Kingen on a champion where you can sit back and be okay against this Renekton? Is what I'm curious about. Like, if you play something like a GP here, if you're so bold, Kingen, which he has done in the past, it could be really interesting in a ton of late game scaling. Or are they just going to put him on something like a Gnar and Ornn here? He's laughing.
Uh-oh.
Is it the GP angle?
I do wonder what is going on
No,
here.
it's just going to be the Ornn.
Yeah. I mean, hasn't locked it yet. Okay, well,
those are like your options, okay? Like, there's Ornn or Gnar, like a little bit safe, or you go GP, but then you're super squishy. Your entire comp has no front line. I like this better. It gives you some more scaling in the late game. And your mid-game fights are pretty good into the Renekton as well.
It's a Kingen pick, you know? He had one of the first plays where you like flash right into their face and you bop your ult right back in. Very clean Ornn player. I think he's very confident on it. It can deal with Renekton. Can it deal with Renekton Nidalee? I think we'll find out. Tristana, the pick here for mid for BDD, and then the, I mean, I guess it could be Zeri mid. Probably
I don't think so.
Not, though. Probably just going to be Zeri and Rel.
See how they want to empower this Corki in the bottom lane. Shen and Elise banned again against the Hens.
Blitzcrank?
Not so sure about that one into this composition. Rakan is a little bit risky as well, but can, you know, if it can find its way into the backline, do well. But both 80 carries here for KT Rolster are pretty mobile. I actually like what KT put together here, to be honest, because they have a composition that is based around getting the Zeri ahead early. Hasn't swapped to bottom lane just yet, by the way. But getting the Zeri ahead early, and, you know, in team fights with the Renekton's early power levels, you can just force those skirmishes into your favor. If you end up getting grubs as well, and your comp is centered around that Nidalee Renekton topside, then the Renekton sets you up for that success. You stack 4 or 5 grubs, then your Tristana is a side lane threat. But if the Tristana is going to be the bottom laner in this case, it means a lot less experience early for the range, and it also means a little bit less side lane power for the Tristana. So I'm a little bit surprised to see this lane setup here, especially because I feel like BDD is a really good Tristana player, and it's a matchup we've seen so much success from him in the past with.
I think, you know, we also used to see Zeri into the Corki. That may be part of it as well. Maybe just wants to go back to that matchup in particular. You're still running double AD carry with Nidalee heals, and the Nidalee has set up at least in the top lane. You don't really have much set up in mid. Actually, zero, unless the Zeri baits the Corki into a fight, which probably won't happen, but kind of interesting comps. It feels like both are very similar, very reliable engage here on the side of Nongshim, along with 2 80 carries. We'll see how it goes for them as we hop onto the rift for game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Here we go, game number 3. Nongshim have really dropped the gauntlet today and said, hey, we're just the better team. As Jiu says, here, take a spear.
Good start here for KT in a desperate situation. Nongshim will clear this ward, keep things a little bit ambiguous, set up some deep vision themselves. What I do like about Zeri being mid in this composition, as BDD also goes heal, so won't have teleport or side lane pressure, and Duck Dom isn't going to take teleport either. That could come back to bite them, but it could be a lot of power early. But anyways, Zeri's going to be involved in those early fights and skirmishes almost guaranteed no matter what. And if we can get a Zeri moment early, for BDD, and he gets accelerated in this game. It certainly could work out. Lehens is looking for some early shenanigans, though.
Shenaniganry begins. Flash W into BDD, who has to flash as well. And now is very low. He
Rip your
does
level
have,
1.
Yeah, he's got the 1 potion. But
his heal is burnt as well. So that's a great set play, and isn't really going to cost Jiu all too much. We'll see if he ends up losing on him. He's up 3 CS right now. Like, he was able to get those melee minions in the top lane. So really at the cost of nothing here. Sure, Lehens used his summoners, and that was a little bit more agency for Duck Dom and Wei. But, man, Lehens is running the Rift today.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that Jiu's going to hit level 2 first, so you don't even have, like, you know, that old school, everybody remembers Tristana Alistair, you hit level 2, you just all in, and you just kind of win. You don't really have that. You have similar setup as the levels come along, obviously, which is probably part of the reason why we do see that duo there. Kane winning the 1v1 here, perfect, not going to hit his Q, and yeah, that Ornn can definitely deal with the 1v1 with the Renekton.
And you're going to see Gideon come over here, try to apply some pressure with the prio that they have in mid and in top. It makes it very difficult for Cuz to hard farm his jungle. And it's going to be a smite fight. Lehens.
Uh-oh. Cuz pushed away. You see they don't overcommit to it with the rotations coming in. As Lehens might be in a bit of trouble. The disengage cone does come in. Oh, Wei's going to miss the engage, and Fisher Valkyries on Cuz. He's not going to get the kill. Lehens is low, but so is BDD. BDD goes down first, and Fisher again in the wonkiest, weirdest spot, but he's just going to walk away.
Yeah, no one can punish him. It's a kill for Nongshim, and KT basically get nothing. And you know, BDD was in position to try to come over and slowly help that play out, but didn't have flash, so he couldn't come over and go for a punish kill. And I understand KT committing heavily to this after this situation happens because they want to get this Zeri accelerated, right? And Wei is here, so there's an angle where, okay, maybe we can actually get in to make something happen. The Blast Cone, though, your favorite, Valdez, is really one of the big difference makers here. Wei misses.
Not the highlight.
Yeah, and Lehens also incredibly low here.
If he hit it, guess what? Lehens is dead.
Yes.
And they get first blood.
And they get first blood, which less significant these days, but still big. And unfortunately, they get nothing. And as a result, and Gideon was able to steal the blue buff as well. And BDD's still down summoners.
Yeah. KT, you know, we talked about how they're not exactly looking like a team nowadays. They have certainly lost a little bit of the KT magic. Doesn't even feel like we're really on a roller coaster. It's kind of just like a slide, right? We're just kind of going down. Unfortunate, you know, I'd love to see these guys perform at their best, but they just haven't really found their angle just yet. Oh, the knockup is beautiful. In the replay, you can see that's what forced Perfect to flash.
Yeah. I feel like the KT Magic was really lost after they changed their name from KT Magic Ends. Back in Blue Water.
Yeah, you know, technically, the magic was lost, yeah.
But nowadays, you know, it's like the most recent loss of Magic.
Yeah.
I do think that this game is by no means over, but it's definitely kind of a worrying sign for a team that's clearly been frustrated at times, especially in Game 2, with how the game states have been going, with how close they've been to winning some of these really critical fights or surviving some of these dives or some of these turns or the hyper-aggressive plays like BD going in on the Azir and failing. Let's see if Wei can hit it this time. If there's any follow-up.
This one a bit simpler, as it didn't require a flash, and Fisher was walking in a straight line. And
but no follow-up, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it is quirky. You can just kind of press your W and say goodbye. Valkyrie, pretty strong ability. And he's got great wave clear, which is why he is one of the most common mid laners of all time, I'd say, probably at this point. The quirky Azir days coming back to you guys in April.
See you there. Not entirely sure how this ended up happening in the top lane where Duck Dom isn't here and like the whole wave is given to Wei.
Rel needs farm, yeah.
It's not that far behind Jiu in this game, but I just wasn't watching what transpired there moments before. Perhaps just a bad trade and he had to back or something. But either way, Gideon doing what he loves. And in this case, I don't think he's going to die doing it because Fisher is here.
And they're trying to set up something onto a Rakan who presses his dash ability. Meanwhile, the grubs are all gone. So the grubs are gone. Yes, the spear's going to hit. Lehens might have to back, sure. But you're just losing 3 grubs for free. And the biggest reason they do is because, of course, the mid lane issue, right? The level 1 flash. The fact that BDD is so far behind him that he's pushed under turret. That's what leads them to getting more grubs.
Yeah, and then the play on blue buff with the pressure they had further puts him behind. He gets hit by a rocket here, and I mean, he's 10 CS behind, but he's just constantly getting chunked out of lane. So the prio is the issue, like you said, and another issue of the result of this play is that Tristana isn't getting grubs for some potential push later. This isn't a side laning Tristana, although there might be some side laning that does occur. It's not a solo laning Tristana in this game, so not as significant as it could be, but still significant in terms of what you can do if you win a team fight, how quickly Duckdom can take out turrets. I mean, this guy was known for doing it on Aphelios in the day, in his heyday back in the LCK. And yeah, I mean, it's all just coming up Nongshim right now. Still early days in this game, still a winnable one, but we need to see the early to early mid-game fighting power of this Renekton. They need to get this Zeri and Tristana accelerated in some way, and just losing plate gold isn't going to be it.
Well, we're hopping in and flashing out. I don't know.
He surprised himself with that.
I don't have an explanation for that one.
Look, Tristana goes in, Tristana goes out. We can't explain it.
Just like the Tide Wolf. Nobody knows how that works. Yeah, I don't know. Duckdom's been having a rough day, and that one is going to be another blemish, unfortunately. Lehens is like, wait, there must be someone else, right? And then he realizes there isn't, and he just goes in, forces flash.
Oh, I thought you were making a single Lehens. It's like, isn't it supposed to be hype on that team? I was like, well, that's a deep cut, Valdez. But I mean, that's a sentiment, and Duckdom is my guy. Like, for those who've been watching LCK for the last few years, you know, when people stopped championing Duckdom, I was there. I was like, no, guys, he'll come back. Like, he's really good, I promise. And you know, he came back to the LCK, and I was thinking, okay, this is a little bit risky. It's weird they're not using hype, but let's see how he does. And I think for KT fans, the disappointment is definitely felt. You know, there were some questions about it, and now the performance just hasn't lived up to the choice that KT's made, right, where they decided to go with a veteran rather than a rookie. And you know, moments like this leave you scratching your head, but I think he's having a rough day, and the pressure may be getting to him, even though he's been on these high-pressure stages in the past. I mean, this is the guy who got off the bench because he had his broken arm and played with a cast on and carried his team to victory. So he's done it. He's just, unfortunately, in this series, not doing it. And on this Tristana pick, at least has a lot of agency now with Cousin Wei.
Yeah, maybe
here.
Maybe this is the moment. Trying to get the dive. It's got to come from Wei first. He has to take the aggro. Kingen gets the knockup, denies the crash down, and Wei nearly dies. Meanwhile, Kingen will survive and lives easily. They could go for a redive here, but meanwhile, a little dive under here, trying to predict the dash was Lehens. Kind of works out, but doesn't get the knockup, gets the predict, but now BDD with his ult available, just going in, 1v2, might have a Q, gets it down. As meanwhile, up in the top side, Kingen, they will succeed on the redive, so KT finally, they wake up a bit.
Finally for KT, some life in this series, they strike back. BDD in the 1v2 has the flash, has the play available, knows Lehens on cooldown, cannot do anything to stop him if he's in range there for the flash to kill. Goes for the kill on Fisher, the redive happens topside, and this Ornn, who is already significantly behind, you know, naturally is going to now find himself further behind. Well, TP here back to the top lane, and we'll catch some of these minions here. It's not going to be another dive, it's not one of those top lane experiences, but still finding himself now a little bit more of a util weak side pick in this game as KT take the Gold League back. This is not a Zeri moment, but it's certainly BDD finally standing on 2 feet, it feels, in this game, as Gideon's looking for more grubs.
Gonna miss the smite here as well. Cuz picks that one up, so could still have a fight over these grubs.
Yeah, Cuz also did use his smite there, so it's a bit weird.
Well, I think they just want to go for the fight, but they're not really doing it very well. They're trying to chase the Rakan. TP will come in. And Fisher, you see, he's not even going to TP, so it's actually Nongshim that make the final call and say, well, we're just not going to fight for this one. Kingen just going to give a thumbs up, but might be in a bit of trouble here. Has to try to fight, goes down. That's another kill over to the Zeri.
And this is a great composition to grub fight for KT Rolster. It's so powerful early. Zeri is, surprisingly very strong in these early skirmishes and can chase down split off members. Speaking of chasing down,
I think they're fine. He's fine. Little flash here. Not sure about Fisher. Is he okay? Perfect. Still on the chase, but not going to continue with that one.
arguably more valuable that the Renekton loses his flash there. Both of them have movement abilities, but it's kind of a weird follow there from Perfect. Could have just been happy with the flash himself, but thought he was in range to set something up. Going back to this 1v2, it's a really nice movement there from BDD, tricking Lehens, who's predicting, like you said. And then here, he's got flash and heal. This rocket misses, and Lehens can offer very little damage. He's just trying to heal as best he can, drops the ignite, and then BDD's just like, all right, he's on cooldown. I'm flashing in for the kill. No chill, no words from the man in the mid lane.
It's not really the time to celebrate either, you know, after the way today has gone. It's just a moment to say, okay, I finally did something. I mean, BDD has definitely done more than just that in this series, but hasn't been the shining BDD performance today either.
Still, I would say has been the best performing member, all things considered. Yeah. I mean, this game state is pretty good for KT, but we need to see more. We need to see this, you know, it's a second kill on Ornn, right? But we need to see, like, how they snowball this Renekton composition, get the Zeri further ahead. Having Shiv is going to make BDD's life a lot easier and a lot more oppressive in the side lane. But they are going to eventually get to that breaking point where Nongshim do have that double 2-item spike, and then the ornaments are going to start coming through. Lilia significantly ahead over the Nidalee right now as well in this game, as Gideon has had full control over the jungle. This is a really nice setup here for KT. This is oppressive, and Kingen doesn't have flash.
They do have Gideon here, and there's the knock-up in a way. He's only a level 5 Rel. I think he's just dead. No flash available, so A is just left to die. The TP will come through. They get the kill over to Gideon. Now they're going to try to turn this one onto Duckdom, who has to flash again, but the follow-up is there. There's just too much hard engage on the side of Nongshim. And as a team, they overextend. They don't expect Gideon there, and Nongshim are able to punish.
Yeah, this is kind of a disaster for KT. Still holding on to a sliver of a gold lead here, but that was a big whiff, and it's going to be a dragon going over to Nongshim as well on the play. Perfect will get some additional gold here on this Renekton and further his lane lead. But he is on a timer. He is Renekton after all. This feels like a really nice neutralization of the advantages that KT had earlier. I don't think they had to go that deep for the play, and Wei was left on his lonesome isolated there. You can see his flashes up now, but he didn't have it at the moment. It's a whole turret to the Renekton, which means it's going to be a lot tougher for Kingen to actually stem the bleeding here, but I feel like the wind is a little bit out of KT Rolster's sails. They're going to need to get that momentum back. They have feats of strength as well, mind you.
Yeah, just got it with that turret there, so nice little positive for KT. Finished Black Cleaver and Tunneler there for Perfect, so he's feeling pretty good. He's got the biggest lead so far on the Rift out of anyone.
BDD definitely has some where's your support now energy in this matchup against Fisher. As this knockup barely hits Wei, but it's enough. And he's just unfortunate with a Nidalee as his jungler. Like, he can't really do anything here. And then Duckdown going in on this 1v1 on the Jiu is very puzzling because the rest of his team has already clearly made the call to get out. And that's what hurts the most. Like, you lose your Rel there, it's kind of a split call, and the support does often just trickle in to die in that moment when the rest of the team can't follow up. But AD carry going in on his own, that one a little bit less forgivable, unfortunately, and Nongshim will happily get an additional kill. Now Jiu has 2 kills up on this Tristana, and he is very well on his way to the 2-item spike.
Yeah. We also have Collector first here for Duckdom. There are a bunch of squishy members on the side of Nongshim, but not going to feel very good into Kingen, which is a guy he's going to be hitting a lot.
I'm not like a big hater of the Collector in this game, because if you can kill those squishy targets and get your resets, it absolutely is worth in those scenarios. And they've put Kingen significantly behind, so I can see the thought process. It's risky, but it absolutely could pay off in this game.
Yeah. Let's see what the rest of the build looks like as well. What direction he wants to head. And, well, there's the support. Nice buffer from Duckdom. He's been having a little bit of a roughie, and we talked about that a bit, so want to celebrate when he has his good moments as well. Wei here has hit level 6. He did get there. Second set of grubs come up, and Nongshim say, well, we're down a little bit, but maybe we can get some grubs here. Or not the grubs, the Rift Herald, sorry.
Yes, Herald is up. BDD ready to fight. This is one of those last few moments you're going to have as KT with this composition where you're super strong in these fights, especially if you can keep the Ornn out. But Perfect is opting to side instead. Does have TP. See if he wants to utilize it here. He's going to get a turret at least.
Less off position down for Wei, and now he's just taking a massive amount of poke damage. And yeah, turret goes. Perfect TPs. They want to take the fight. Wei's getting healed up by the Nidalee. Maybe want to go in here. Wei not going to hit anything as he does get the shift out of them, but the turn comes through from Nongshim, and the team fighting is just so much better from them. Nice steal from Cuz. And he will, oh, he's not going to go in there for that one. And BDD trying to make it all happen by himself. He's just going to go down immediately. You can feel the desperation
Look
in
at
the air for
Duckdom's
KT.
damage in that fight, 99. He did nothing. Doesn't have the range yet at this point. That's a reverse
4-0.
Yeah, that's a reverse Zeri moment. I think our first.
Oh God.
Here at the LCK is BDD tries to go in and clean up those health bars, but ends up just bombing out.
That reminds me of Papa Smithy's call on the reverse legendary. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Purioning back in time, Valdez.
Yeah. Except now it's, yeah.
He's going to get a turret as well off of this. I mean, look at this setup here. Look at Duckdom this whole fight. Perfect is like, he's like trying to decide. Look at how broken up the call is here from KT. Perfect's trying to zone. See the engage come through, which just gets a shift out of Jiu, and then the rel is also gone. And Duckdom was like, I want to shoot him real bad. Like, and if BDD just gets one kill, maybe I can get in there. Maybe we can just jump through together. 280 carries holding hands, jumping through Paradise, but it's just such a split call. And Nongshim were like, all right, well, you guys committed, but only halfway. Thanks for the freebie.
Yeah. And a lot of their hard engage comes from the rel, but the rel engage onto an Ezreal, and you know, nobody's there to follow up, as you're mentioning. It's just, it just feels so desperate, right? It's like we have to make a play. We have to do something right here, right now. Wei, you've got to be the guy. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of pressure on this young support's shoulders to make plays, and it hasn't necessarily been a recipe for success. We'll say that.
Manamune complete at 18 minutes, nearly stacked here for Jiwoo. He's significantly ahead of his 80 carry in the mid lane with all those kills. And Ezreal came early here in Game 3, and I'm really concerned about what this is going to mean for KT in these upcoming fights.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they could easily come back in this game. They're not even really behind at all, you know? Like, they have even gold, they have feats of strength, they still have a good comp.
It's not hitting the breakpoints the way they want to.
Yeah, you could just kind of feel it in the air that they're not really all there. We'll see, I mean, what this next fight looks like as they get pushed off the dragon and Nongshim take it for free. They say thank you for the leash. No engage comes through. I say that, and the engage comes through from Nongshim. And this time, Wei's going to hit the front line. Okay, the follow-up is just not there, though. And again, you've got this massive Ezreal doing tons of damage. Alongside of the Corki, they just line up for it. And Cuz is also going to go down. No disengage code for him. Triple kill for the Corki.
And they're acting like in these engages, they've got this big swath of AoE AP damage they're going to layer over this rel or something, but it's a 1.5 item Tristana, 1.5 item Zeri. You know, it's a big ult. But then what? And they were late on the play to get to the dragon. Once again, the engage feels like desperation. As Duckdom was like fishing for Jiu in that fight, he keeps trying to look for the rocket jump onto the Ezreal, and the Ezreal's just like, okay, I E out. You're not a Kaisa. King is he's just juggling the aggro. It's fine.
Okay.
We can PvE, right?
Right? When the circle comes up, yeah, you got to... Gideon!
Where's the white mage?
The circle!
Healer!
When the circle comes out, don't stand in the circle. Yeah, it's out of combat. And again,
look at Duckdom in this fight. Jump on Jiwoo as well. Oh, we're past that now. Okay, we're after that.
Yeah, now he doesn't have his jump.
He doesn't have the jump. He can't do any damage here. He's just too low range. It's 80 carry Tristana.
He's a 1.5 item. Yeah.
It's almost but not quite was the story of 3 team fights ago. Now it's like you're not even close, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He did end up going for Flicker here on his second item.
Yeah.
I don't know how much utilization we're going to get out of it in this one, but maybe a catch here. so many of these Nongshim members are so difficult to lock down. Like, Kingen has his Unstoppable, you have Lehen's on a Rakan, Jiu is Ezreal, Fisher is Corki. Like, only Gideon is really one of the ones you can catch. He doesn't have an arm guard.
And he's very fast, right?
He is fast, that's true. It's just so hard to actually make a comeback play here when you're behind at this point. Now the Corki does have 2 items.
Yeah, and specifically, as you were talking about before, it's not like you have huge follow-up for the Rel, right? Like, getting a big engage isn't everything. You need your 80 carries to scale, or this composition doesn't have damage, especially when you're behind/even. And Perfect's almost dying to Corki now.
He's the only one who's not behind in terms of lanes.
Uh-oh, here we go again. Wei gonna get charmed up. Might actually get out of this one. As Gideon was like, nah, man, I'm doing the Raptors. They're worth more. I don't care about this Rel anymore.
Too real.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the siege is decent here for Nongshim, but they're not quite going to be able to break through this inner. A lot of time being bought here throughout the last 45 seconds of this Otacon buff. We'll see if KT can stem the bleeding. BDD does have Runins. If he had it during that Rel, ultimately, he would have done a little bit more.
Uh-oh. Well, we got to sleep here. Cuz going to flash out. Gideon, oh, the damage is insane, but the follow-up here from Wei is quite good, and now you do have Duck Dom over the top. He's going to miss his flash, but he gets away, and the withdrawals, they get 1. How many more will they get is the question. Kingen flashes in, gets another kill, and they're struggling so much just to take out a con buffs away from Nongshim. And, you know, they get 3, but Kingen's just running through a turret. Like, you can feel the vibes right now are so heavily favored to Nongshim, and they can kind of just do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a whiff there and a lot of gold going over to KT Rolster, but with 3 bodies off the map, Nongshim will be able to shore it up for sure. Well, it starts off with Cuz getting slept. He's able to slowly, drowsily get to the wall and make his way over, and then can offer some poke here. Duck Dom waits for his opportunity to go in, gets that first reset there, and buy some space between him and the rest of the team. Misses a lot of damage here because he does back off so heavily, and then BDD comes in and he's like, I'm the real 80 carry in this one. As Duck Dom just waits for some additional damage there, does drop the ult, and then Kingen is like, get out of here. Everyone's like super low, so
Scram!
Just Ornn gets the turret as he does withdraw. But, you know, it's one step in the right direction here for KT, I suppose, but you've got a long, long bridge to cross to get back to even. They were ahead. They had such a great start. They were utilizing their early game composition to its win cons until things really fell apart.
Yeah, and one of the things that Gideon has done all LCK Cup play-ins long, and towards the end of the group stage, is when he gets ahead, he flies ahead. He gets so far ahead, and you can't catch up. He's so good at it, at farming, especially on Lilia. Another engage comes in here. They're trying to lock down Gideon, but he's so tanky. Even Lehen's is going to get away. And so the engage not quite there. They turn onto the Renekton, does Nongshim. They burn him to a crisp. In goes BDD over the wall, but he can't even catch Lehen.
They just can't catch anybody. They just can't do it. It's just everyone's too slippery here. They get the jump onto Jiu. He shifts over the wall, and then
all right,
maybe
a chance. I mean, the flash on in. Duck Dom. Yeah, no, he's just dead.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Not much to say, Wolf. I do think that desperate times call for desperate measures. That's what they say, right?
That is what they say. So watch this catch onto the Ezreal. Jiu is like, okay, this is a bit scary. I'm backing away. Perfect, meanwhile, is going on to the jungler. So Jiu gets to do free damage after his E is down. He gets to ult over the wall here. They isolate and kill Perfect because their target selection's on point. They pick this team apart. Duck Dom still can't close the gap. Still can't go. I'm really curious what Duck Dom's damage is going to be at the end of this game because he's just been zoned out so then he goes for this play here. The minion's also not on his side in this situation, but it's just he's 2 levels down.
Yeah, Fisher also Valkyrie'd away, so Duck Dom had to walk over the Valkyrie, and he's like burning the whole time. It's just... It just really was not going to work. I mean, he has Collector, but it's just too far behind.
He really is. And man, this series, I told everyone, like, you just never know what you're going to get. I don't think anybody expected it to go like this, but I didn't want it to go like this. I wanted it to be a back and forth. I wanted it to be messy and exciting and intense and back and forth and, you know, 40 champions are banned going into Game 5.
Yeah.
Special LCK playoffs Game 5 music. That's what I wanted. That's what I felt like. That was the one thing I could be sure about today, but Nongshim said, no, we're just a tier above.
Yeah. That is the one thing you said to me, Wolf. The one thing you can be sure about is 5 games, and I agreed. It's not looking like that right now. It's kind of a big celebration for Nongshim, but also kind of the opposite of that here for KT. So it's very much a two-sided feel at the moment.
And KT was the team that was higher seeded because of the group format, right? But Nongshim are just coming in and saying, like, we've leveled up.
They've had some extra matches to do so. Exactly. They have a best of 5 under their belt from play-ins.
True.
They're just doing the Baron now. And the damage is there. I mean, it's Fisher, it's Kingen and Gideon. They should have enough, as now trying to engage here onto Lahans. They're thinking about getting Cuz in, but it's too late. Perfect gonna spot it. That health bar, how low it is. And now, again, you just have so much reliable engage on the side of Nongshim. You press your buttons, and from this far ahead, you can kill anyone, including Perfect, who is going to go down, I believe, now 0-4. Here comes Kingen. He's not done yet. He's like, you wanna go more? He's gonna find Duckdom as well. Duckdom not able to hop away, and it just feels like bullying at this point. A singular sleep onto just Cuz as they hunt them down like prey. As at least Duckdom is gonna get that kill with the Zult. BDD as well does a little bit of something over here on the right side, but he goes down. Dies to Lilia, who now has 7 kills. Gideon 7-0-10.
And meanwhile, Gio's just pressing W on buildings and making them blow up. They are ready to end this one. Arguably the most one-sided match, including play-ins, that we've seen here in LCK Cup, and it's a best of 5. It doesn't feel like one way.
Oh, they're gonna get another engage here, but he just dies.
Oh, just one more.
Yeah.
0-6.
I mean, they have another wave coming in, and they still have Baron, so try as they may, KT, I don't think they've got a shot at this point in time, unfortunately for them. But Nongshim, man, have they leveled up. KT did not know what they were getting themselves into tonight, as Nongshim will take the 3-0 in flying fashion, absolutely bopping their opponents. And it was not a close one, guys. It was a 3-0, nothing to see here at all.
Absolute destruction of KT Rolster. Len's giving Cuz a little bit of a hug there. Former teammates, of course, but Nongshim looking like a real force to be reckoned with. Even Gio, who's been criticized a lot recently, having a great series, and the macro was great, the oppression, the vision control. This is a team that, if you took the nameplate off, you could say was a top team, like if you really didn't know who was playing. With the drafts we saw, Kingen playing incredible League of Legends in the top lane, Lahens controlling everyone, Gideon just suddenly becoming a superstar here in the LCK Cup. That's what this whole tournament is all about. You look at rosters, right, going into the beginning of the year, and you're like, well, what is this power level of this Nongshim roster? It's kind of this mishmash of veterans and some newer players. And then LCK Cup. Kesper Cup, we had a little bit of it, right? But then LCK Cup comes along, and you're like, this is where you really find out what this roster is capable of with a few games under the belt. Lahen's capable of a little trash talk as well. And Nongshim are going into, even if they lose that next round, they're likely to be chosen by D+, because I don't think D+ is going to choose T1 or HLE, regardless of who wins tomorrow. We'll see, but I don't think so. I mean, even if you lose to D+ in the next round, you have accomplished so much.
And who knows? Maybe they can actually challenge them.
They could potentially do it. Like right now,
it's just so much momentum.
Yeah, right now I feel like there's a real chance that they just keep riding that momentum and make that a competitive match in the second round of playoffs.
Yeah.
Who knows what the ceiling's going to be?
The most important game in that series is game 1. Like, DK will have to come out, assuming they choose them, as you mentioned, is very likely. They're going to have to come out and bop them in game 1. Otherwise, Nongshim might just keep running with it, because they have so many series wins under their belt outside of that loss to T1, obviously. Here are some of the replays we saw, as KT had their moments, but they also had their moments, if you know what I mean. Nongshim, consistent as always, you know, no real notes for them. You know, Gideon continuing to get ahead. They're drafting great comps. I feel like Chelly and the crew has done a fantastic job ever since the end of the group battle. They've really just hit their flow state and kind of figured it out, what works for them.
And it kind of feels like Lahens has been given a lot more reign in the draft, a lot more reins in the comms, in the shot calling. he is really, feels like limit testing constantly, and even in the small whiffs that you see, like the flash hook into the wall, he just doesn't lose his cool. Sometimes we see Lehens in best of fives lose his cool a little bit when he drops that rough performance in game one and just never gets back his mojo, but he just knows he has to be that positive voice, and he absolutely has been over the last 2.5 weeks. And Nongshim just straight up looked good.
Yeah.
KT, on the other hand, maybe a bit of a wake-up call in terms of what needs to happen between now and the LCK. You've already loaned out your AD carry. I don't think you're going to make any roster changes, but perhaps some shot calling changes and maybe some communication issues could be worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll listen in to how Nongshim end the game. Corky hit the turret. Alt in 6, and they're just continuing to say just hit the tower. Tank for me, please. Great job, guys. I think he actually said good job in English there.
Very calm victory after some pretty explosive moments. Dogdom's damage not that low, but not what you want to see on the Tristana. I did mention I wanted to see it after the game. It was just an issue of KT just never in range to hit Nongshim. Like, they were always reaching for plays, and Perfect kept flanking. He's like, I'm flanking, and then the team can't follow up, and he's like, I'm dead because I was flanking, and they found me and failed.
Yeah, Selahen's going to pick up the player of the match here, and not a big surprise. I think that so many of the early plays that he made, and even game one, his Nautilus was insane. Like, that really gave them that huge momentum in the series because he was just making play after play after play. You could definitely give a shout out to Kingen in game two, especially. He would be the POG of that one for his Rumble performance. But even the Rakan here from Lehens was great.
I went back and forth. I ultimately went for Kingen, actually. Mostly just because of that one heroic play that just ended the game.
Yeah.
But still, I think Lehens was...
Any Gideon enjoyers?
Gideon was a niche option. I feel like maybe a Jonas Strong angle there, something like that. But nobody got predictions correct in terms of scoreline today. Most of our predictors went for Nongshim, but nobody thought it was going to be a 3-0.
Everybody was like 3-2 mostly. Were there any 3-1 Nongshimmers? I think there was
maybe one.
We have Jisun on the task. We'll see if we can figure it out before we do throw it into the interview. But that would be the closest person. The person that was like Nongshim Chronicler, the one person that went for 3-1 for Nongshim. So there you go. Chronicler knew it, I guess, the most out of all of us. But we have the interview now. I'll throw it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation, joined by Lehens on the side of Nongshim Red Force. What a wild crowd. You have secured playoffs round 2. How do you feel? I'm very happy. And our next opponent is very strong, so I'm a little worried about it, and I'll be on my toes for that one. So your past match history was not actually too good. So did you expect to get such a dominant 3-0 victory? You know, KT, honestly, I've been in their shoes before, so I didn't really think that too much into that. I think it was just really more on you at this point. And what makes this match and this victory more meaningful is that you won all games from red side. And it looks like the team has built some momentum over time. So can you tell that you've improved as a team? Yeah, just thinking back to Kespa Cup, I feel like we weren't really on the same page. And lately, I do believe that we are much more working as a unit. So I think right now, I feel much more like a team, and it's really all thanks to my team.
1세트 끝나고 보이스에서 내 말 잘 들어주면
So,
좋겠다.
I guess I can't really share. It's a secret in terms of what helped with my momentum. And we heard you say, please listen to me, don't let your guard down. So do your teammates normally not listen to you? I would like to just leave that as no comment today.
이런 데선 더 힘을 발휘할지 기대가 됩니다. 힘찬 응원 보내주시는 분들 정말 많이 계시잖아요. 팬분들께 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
There are so many fans that support you with all their heart, so please share your resolution.
경기력이 좋고 최선을 다하시는 이유는 팬분들께서
Thank you so much for all the support so far.
앞으로도 지치지 않게
And I think the reason we're able to perform so well is because of all your support and all the times that you send us your energy.
저희는 이제 도전자 입장이라서 열심히 상위권이랑 이제
You know,
후닥후닥 해보겠습니다.
And in regards to round 2, we are going to be in the challenger's shoes, so we'll try our best. And that's the end of the interview with Lee Hens, and back to the Spacers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Ayaya, as it is a 3-0 Nongshim Red Force over KT Rolster. Here we were, being excited to possibly have our first best of 5, go all 5 games here, maybe see champion pool depth between 2 squads. Not the case today as Nongshim take care of business 3-0 here, Ox.
Dude, you got your 3-0, you know?
Yay! Oh, wait. Wrong team, though. I mean, it happens.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, wasn't quite the case there. And thanks to that man, Lahens, on the interview earlier. Huge stuff by him as we take a look at the votes. Kingin's play came very close. Very close to winning him player of the series, but it didn't quite work out. Player of the match didn't quite work out. 6-5. I feel like it's a fair way to go either way.
Yeah, I think my perspective is the overall impact over the course of the series. Lahens was obviously driving a lot of the plays that got them ahead. Kingen really popped off. In that game 2 in particular, he really popped off. But I think for me, total series impact, I think Lahens had it.
Yeah, especially I really like his shot calls in terms of the rotation. I think he knows the right timing to engage, especially when they're really ahead. So it was really impressive that he snowballs really well his shot calls.
All right, comments time. Ox, what did you have for us here in your Lahens vote?
Always listen to your young, your older brother. You know, that's what he keeps saying every game. He's like, listen to your older brother, and it works.
I mean, I don't know why it happens every time. Like, they need to listen to Lee Hens. Like, they get the free win, but whenever, what is happening in that team actually? Because it's so weird that they're not listening to Lee Hens after all. You know,
he's just being a great leader and just reminding them. He's patient and reminding them how they're finding success. What did you put here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he saw my predictions, and yeah, I mean, that's what happens, you know, whenever you try to talk something bad towards Lee Hens. He's king of the trash talk, and I try to kind of be bad boy into him, but I guess I can't.
I've got to do this. I've got to do you like this we did. At the start of the day, he was so confident. It's not just he had the prediction. He was saying to me, no, it's 3-0 KT, 100%. Cause BDD, they've got it in the... He was really convinced.
I mean, how can I know they performed bad after a week? I mean, I knew. I mean, I thought like they
How could you know? That's your job!
I can't.
What's your job right now?
I'm sorry, guys. I guess.
Still can't accept it, you know?
It's like, wins the series.
I'm so tilted. I'm so tilted. I don't know.
All right, Wolf. He said on the cast earlier that he voted over for Kingen. Did not get his comments in time. Helios going with what would you have done without me?
I've seen what Nongshim have done without Lahens. Struggled. He's made a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what else we got here. The secret recipe of Nongshim noodle. Sup.
It's sup. It's support, but soup.
Yeah, got it. And then here's Wolf's on Kingen. Kingen tried to steal the spotlight from Lahens in game 2. Thank you, Wolf. That was very literal of him. What do you make of that one, Dan?
It's correct. It's true. You know, he actually stole a good portion of the POM votes, including Wolf's. So it was a pop-up play. You know, credit to it. But I think Lahens definitely deserving.
Yeah, definitely. Historic moment here. A little bit of history here for Nongshim, as it's been a ride to get to this point. 4 series, maybe not all best of 5s, but 4 series. It feels like they're battle tested as they go up into the next round.
That's the thing, KT coming in cold, but Nongshim have really had to fight to get to this point. Round 1 of play-ins all the way to here. Obviously did take that loss to T1, who look fantastic at the moment, but they've really battled, and they are now top 4, which is kind of crazy.
And I think especially today they won 3 games of red side, which means that it's really important that you actually don't get to choose your side, but you still get a win. So that means that they didn't show up their blue side strategy to any other team. So I think it's going to be a huge factor coming into the next games.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, a little bit of history. Here's the history of Nongshim in best of 5s. Hasn't been great. They were 1 and 2 coming into it, but now they're at 50%. First win in the last 4 years.
Wait,
of the best
what?
of 5.
It's been a long time. Yeah, really has. Nongshim brought a lot of their players up from the Challengers team, and some have clearly worked well. Jiwoo's been a great addition, but it felt like they were lacking that veteran experience. I think they really have that now, and there's that great blend between some less experienced players and some more experienced players, and it's all come together right now.
Yeah, and remember, at last split, they were running Sylvia jungle. They make the decision to go to Gideon, and it's paid off really well. And then, as we've harped over and over again, Lahen's just kind of organizing everyone to become one unit has worked out.
Yeah, so also what makes him really special is also because of his champion pool as well. Today, I think he played some kind of normal support, right? But he's actually forcing a lot of bans like Shen and Elise, those kind of creative support, and he still got a Shinji support in his storage. So I think it's also a huge advantage that they're having right now because of its fearless draft,
Yeah, I also think Gideon and Fisher is a mid-jungle duo. Going in this matchup, I felt like that's where KT had the biggest edge, but we really saw them perform. I think both players, like Gideon obviously had his time on Bro where he didn't really get a chance to show up. Fisher had his time on EDG where it didn't go that well, I'll be honest. There were other issues with the team, but expectations weren't high, and they've really exceeded those expectations. Everyone knew Lahen's was a good player, but I think those two have shown up beyond what we thought they were capable of.
Like, joke aside, the reason why I said KT is gonna win 3-0 is because of the jungle mid, right? Kuz and BDD, probably their name is a lot larger, like huge, compared to Gideon and Fisher, but I think they proved themselves today that they deserve this spot today.
Yeah, 100%. We won't harp on it too much, but I think on KT side, it's disappointing. They got to figure it out. It feels like they're still waiting for the BDD clip to be made because of the champs that he picked and the scaling that never came out.
It's not even like these players, obviously individually, have been underperforming, and I think that's what's frustrating is we've seen all of these players play better than they displayed today, or even so far in the LCK Cup. We've seen Kuz BDD play better, Wei has played better in Challenges, DuckDum's played better before, even Perfect last season. So it feels like there's a struggle between the team as a whole, and no one is living up to their potential. I think that's why it's going to be really frustrating for the fans, because these players are all capable of more.
It's just so frustrating to see many players are missing just basic skills, like missing Q flashes also. Like, all those kind of things, I don't think it's really a in-game issue. I feel like KT is having probably the issue on the outside. So I feel like it's not a timing to just really like harsh on themselves, just go sauna, go play some other ping pong, I don't know. You need to refresh and just come back stronger.
The thing is with the format of the LCK Cup, it was very short, very compact compared to like a regular season in the LCK. There isn't as much time to adjust. They do now have time off, which never feels good. You want to compete as much as you can, but if they re-examine and use that time to grow, hopefully they come back when the season starts and they can really show what this team can do.
It's all about the atmosphere, it's all about the momentum as well. So I think it's really important them to have a refresh and also just reset all the mindset that they're having right now, because sadly it's done for now, but League of Legends is all about marathon, right? LCK is marathon for now, so I feel like they still got a chance for the next season.
Yeah, well, Nongshim will move on and play against either Gen G or D+ as they are selected. Here are the predictions.
Wait,
Self and Woodid. Yeah,
I picked the red team. I thought it was the same team. Oh,
no, it didn't. No.
Wrong logo.
Me, you.
I'm sorry, guys. Am I getting fired?
It was nice knowing you. It's been great working with you.
Because you said...
Don't tell him?
Okay.
Yeah, I won't.
No, wait, what?
Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. Nongshim, the 6th seed, move on and take care of business against KT. And tomorrow, it is the big one. Fans have been waiting for this one forever. It is T1, the world champs. It is Hanwha Life Esports, the LCK champs. It is the battle of the top laners. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait.
I feel like there's so much, there was the drama in the off-season.
Yeah.
There's so much added context to this. It's not just 2 top teams going head-to-head, 2 teams who have had huge achievements last year. There's that rivalry because of the switch around we had in the top lane.
I just want to see normal lanes, by the way. Just do not do the lane swap and just put Dora and Zeus on the top lane. Just let them play the lane, Holy moly, it's getting fun.
Well, if you want to see if Wadid is right or will be doing lane swaps, you got to tune in, clear your schedule. A huge match here in the LCK Cup. It is a single elimination, and one of these teams will be going home until April. You know who should be going home right now? Y'all, but make sure you're here tomorrow for more LCK Cup action. See ya.